Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, look what we have here. Buffalo Bills may be back in the playoff picture. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We'll talk about this from both sides of the coin. The Buffalo side and the Dallas side, a little more concerning than Buffalo trying to make this late push.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone out there is listening to Maggie Gray and doesn't know her Buffalo Bill fandom, she's a Buffalo Bills fan, but she is quite
snake bitten,
cautious in the sense that I think the Bills need to make it to the AFC title game for you to think that they're actually going to make the playoffs.
Something like
and we
that.
have evidence from our text chain yesterday.
Yeah, going through tiebreakers and stuff. Oh,
well,
yes,
it's 31-3 and with 8 minutes left of the game. And I'm like, Maggie, can we do our nightly phone call now? She's like, no, let's see what the Cowboys do here. This is still in touch. And then you're panicked about Easton Stick and the Chargers.
It's a new coach bump.
Yeah, you were just so snake bitten. This is a great Bills team. And I actually, to the point where I don't even mind that the Cowboys lost. They lost to the hot team. It happens.
Okay, well, we'll get to the Cowboys side of this because I don't think Cowboys fans feel awesome today. You feel good because you clinched a playoff spot. Congratulations. Also, Perloff, congrats to your Philadelphia Eagles. You clinched a playoff spot, too. You're going to play tonight against the Seattle Seahawks. But I was just so surprised and pleasantly surprised that the Bills could even play this way. I've always said that they are a team that looks like they're built for a dome, playing in one of the worst weather cities that we have in the NFL. Buffalo and I guess Green Bay would be the other one. I think that's about it. Finally, they showed they could run the ball. Finally, they showed they can just play the game that's handed to them, right? The Dallas Cowboys wanted no part of that game yesterday. And that might be a bigger issue for Dallas. Again, we'll get into that. But the fact that James Cook could be the star, it didn't have to be Josh Allen. The fact that they could run the ball as effectively as they did, this is what gave me more hope than anything. I know what Allen can do. I know that he can be hero. I know he can do the Superman stuff. Where's that gotten them? Nowhere. Nowhere meaningful. An AFC championship game, but haven't been close to sniffing it again. So this was really encouraging. Can we hear from Josh Allen, please, Manny? Cut 16. Josh Allen making a joke about how basically he was a bystander today.
I don't think I threw the ball that many times, which, again, I don't just get it done. Let's just find a way to win. And, felt like the kid that didn't do anything in the class project but got an A.
And you know what? That's all right. And the fact that he's saying it's okay, I think is massive. Allen was 7 for 15, 94 yards with 1 touchdown, but more importantly, no turnovers in this game for him.
Yeah, to me, the Bills have been playing like their playoff life is on the line for a couple weeks now, and I think that was the difference, motivation. Last night, they are the desperate team,
sure,
and they're playing like it. Now, can this last? Right now, they're playing, I would argue, as good as anyone in the AFC. Can it last? Unlike you, I'm positive they're making the playoffs because they're going to go to 11-6. Their schedule gets really easy. They're going to go to 11-6, and I think this momentum is going to terrify the rest of the AFC. That being said, what's their record on the road? They have not been as good on the road. So they run to a little thing the Cowboys do. They're much better at home. But I think the Bills are an incredibly dangerous team right now. And not because of Josh Allen. I totally agree with you. It's not his playmaking. They can win with James Cook. And is this defense good again?
Well, against Dallas they were, and it may have just put in the kibosh on Dak Prescott's MVP candidacy.
And they were good last week against Mahomes.
Against Mahomes. That
means something.
I mean, that's an opponent they've seen a lot. And I also think Kansas City, their offense is not that good. And Kansas City let New England hang around for probably way longer than they should have yesterday.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was only till Bailey Zappi had a crucial turnover that they were able to really take control of that game. Something's going on with Kansas City's offense still.
Right.
The wide receivers are still not carrying their weight. Bills are 8-6 right now. You're right. They're 6-2 at home. They're 2-4 on the road. I mean, Dallas has a similar thing. They're 7-0 at home. They're 3-4 on the road, and it just does look wildly different. So Buffalo has the Chargers coming up on a short week. They'll play Saturday night.
If you can't win that game, then you might as well go home.
This is a time to get the Chargers. And then you have the Patriots. who they lost to once already.
Oh my gosh!
that's
Can you
home.
imagine Bill Belichick's parting shot to the Buffalo franchise is to knock them out of the playoffs?
And then against Miami, in Miami, and that's Week 18. Now Miami's road is much harder, right? They have to play the Cowboys, then they play the Ravens, and they finish off with the Bills. I think for the Bills, I think they have to win the division. I think they have to win these next 2 games and then beat Miami in Miami, which is going to be really, really hard to do, and win the division in order to for sure get in the playoffs. They own no tiebreakers. They own none. They lose tiebreakers to Cincinnati. They lose tiebreakers to Jacksonville. They lose tiebreakers to the Colts. Yeah. I mean, there's no wild card to me does not seem like the thing. I think they've got to go for the knockout punch here and get the AFC East.
I don't think that makes any sense because you're looking at these. The Bills are 8-6. The Texans are 8-6. The Colts are 8-6. The Jags are 8-6. The Bengals are 8-6, and the Browns are 9-5. You're saying all of these teams are going to win out and be 11-6? How? First of all these teams are dying to lose a game. Cincinnati almost got beat at home by Nick Mullins and the Vikings. That's not. And Cleveland got kind of lucky to beat a pretty bad Chicago Bears team in Cleveland. Then everybody's injured. Yep. There's no way all these teams are going 3-0 the rest of the season. First of all, it's not logistically possible because they all play each other. But there's so many losses out there on the schedule that 11-6 will get you in. I will bet you anything 11-6 gets you into the wild card. Not that you're right; they could win the division anyway, but. They're fine.
It's the only way. I hate the term control your own destiny. It makes no sense. It never's made any sense. We have to retire this. I hate it, but I'll use it today. The only way that the Bills assure themselves of getting in is the win out, win the final 3. You have the tiebreaker over Miami. That's the only way you assure yourself to getting into the playoffs. Yeah,
but the
other way is you need a lot of things to break right for you.
Well, right. But if they win all 3 games, I'm telling you right now. Well, Miami, you're assuming Miami loses a game.
No, because even if Miami wins, Buffalo. Oh, you're right. If Miami keeps winning, they'll keep a 2-game lead. Yes, I'm assuming that Miami's going to drop one. Maybe I shouldn't because their schedule's much harder.
Yes. Anyway, I think they're fine. The Bills are making the playoffs, Maggie. It's happening.
I hope so.
It's happening, assuming they don't trip at Miami. Assuming they don't trip at Miami, and they're going to be dangerous. But then again, they have a little bit of Cowboys-itis. It's funny we're talking about these 2 teams. You know, we've seen them be dangerous coming to the playoffs before, and it hasn't exactly worked out.
Yeah, well, story of my life.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's flip over to the Cowboys side of this because I think that deserves a lot of talk as well. The Cowboys, again, they did clinch yesterday, so I guess,
nobody cares about that. The Cowboys were not playing for anything. That sounds weird, right? They were not playing for anything. And once the weather kind of hit, they were like, get me out of this Western New York.
Yes, they wanted no part of this. And here's where I'm a little bit concerned as a Cowboy fan, even though I understand that they did clinch a playoff spot yesterday.
Here we go! Here we go! Here we go!
Manny, you're reading my mind. I'm so glad you played that. Because we've talked a lot about Cowboys are 7-0 at home. They average 40 points a game at home. They're 3-4 on the road. They average 22 points on the road, right? It's stark. The splits are just totally different. I think part of it is when they can't hear Dak's cadence. I don't know if they went to silent counts last night, and I can only tell because I'm obviously watching it on TV along with everyone else. But that Buffalo crowd was so loud. Yeah. I do not think I think they couldn't hear the cadence, and I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. This "here we go" crap is really working for the Cowboys.
Yeah, you couldn't hear the "here we go" last night. That's a great point. And presumably they'll once again go to San Francisco and have the same exact problem. I mean, the Cowboys are a team that loves to repeat themselves. They go 3 years in a row with the same record. Yeah. They're about to have their third 12-5 record. They're about to go to San Francisco again. It's the same movie we've seen with the Cowboys.
Well, maybe a different ending for them this year, but I don't know.
One thing about this, the one thing I'll say about San Francisco compared to Buffalo is you'll probably have a nice weather game. The thing is, Dallas doesn't love to play on the grass in San Francisco. You saw it earlier in the Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons isn't quite as fast on that turf. So you're right. Everything's shaping up bad. The bottom line is the Cowboys were not going to catch the Niners. That NFC title game, if they make it there, was going to be in San Francisco. So I can't even really. The Niners are winning out. They are a juggernaut.
They look amazing.
They're a juggernaut. So yes, it was a bad loss for the Cowboys, but if they had won that game, what's the difference? They're still going to San Francisco. Does that make Cowboys fans feel better? No, of course not. But the reality is they were not playing. There was nothing logistically they were playing for last night. They're not getting the number 1 seed. So that means a trip to San Francisco is in their future.
Okay, so there is part of this where if you didn't know, now you know, which is the blueprint is out on how to beat the Cowboys. Now, there's 2 things.
Yeah.
Just run the ball on them, and Micah Parsons gets neutralized. Yeah. You've been talking about this since early in the season. We've talked about it a lot. You have to be able to run the ball, and James Cook looked like the second coming of Thurman Thomas last night. He was amazing.
Amazing.
And so you don't even have to be like one of the best running backs in the league to torch this defense on the ground. Offensive line for Buffalo did a great job also. But so you run on them, and if you get up by 2 scores, like good night. I mean, it's so weird to me that this Dallas team can't come from behind, because this was the number 1 offense by many metrics coming into this game.
Yeah.
You think with the ability for quick strikes and things like that you could actually be a come from behind team, but they're not. And I don't know if you just like can get that in the last couple weeks of the season. Can you flip that if they find themselves trailing?
Well, who is it? I mean, okay, is that a formula? Get ahead by 2 scores. That beats almost everybody, though.
Well, not really, because we saw teams come back from 2 scores down just this weekend. I mean, we saw Cincinnati was down by 2 scores and came back. This happens all the time in the
I just
NFL.
think the Niners are specifically built to be ahead as well. And we saw that 3-game losing streak. When they get in a dogfight, they can't just pin back and rush the quarterback. They're a different team. Mm-hmm. All these teams, I think the Eagles too, you want to get in a position where the other quarterback has to throw, and then your best strength is a pass
but the
rush.
Eagles have been a second half team all season.
I know they've
long.
had
They don't apply to this conversation.
Yeah, no. Generally, though, they're a team that is designed to be ahead because they have all these pass rushers you can rotate in. You want to put the other team in a pass rush situation. The Cowboys are over the top with that. But I think there are a lot of teams like that. That's not a strategy to get ahead 2 scores. Like, yeah, if you're up 14-0, you're going to win most NFL games.
No, but there are a lot of teams you play where a 2-score lead is not safe.
Kansas City, for example, right?
I mean, Kansas City is a comeback team. Cincinnati is a comeback team. I mean, you have teams out there who have made a living off of coming back in second halves, and the Cowboys are not one of those teams.
No, they're definitely not.
Let's hear from Mike McCarthy. He says the road games, well, frankly, they've been an issue.
It's a gap. That's is part of my message. I just, we play so well at home, and there's just too big of a gap in our road games. Yeah, we're conscious of it. We'll got a long flight home to continue to talk about it, think about it.
All right. Well, I mean, doesn't this fall a little bit on coaching, right? I mean, the matchup, like styles make fights, and it was weird to me that Dallas didn't seem like they tried anything different in the second half.
Yeah,
nothing. They didn't make an adjustment. James Cook was just as good in the second half as he was in the first half.
That's not fair. They did make an important adjustment. Mike McCarthy called the plane and said, get that thing fueled up. We're getting out of this place as fast as possible.
You would actually like the surf and turf on the way home.
Yeah, they escaped with Dak Prescott intact and Micah Parsons intact. They're fine. They're probably, and by the way, I think this road woes issue goes away next week. I think they beat Miami because Miami hasn't beaten anybody. So yes, they're playing against a desperate team in bad weather in Buffalo. This is not an indictment. They're not winning that game. Here's a question for you. Is if they had lost 28-27 or like they lost that Eagles game, it's still the same result. I'm not concerned that they got blown out. Or am I underestimating the impact of a blowout?
I think losing on the road. I mean, that was my bigger takeaway.
Yeah.
Whether it had been by a field goal or by 4 touchdowns or whatever, I do think it makes a difference. I mean, you keep telling me how great Dak played in that Philadelphia game where they lost. So I don't know. I do think it is different. Mike McCarthy again says the offense did nothing to help the struggling defense, and he said he's to blame.
All 3 phases didn't get it done. Starting with me. I mean, we needed to put points on the board for our defense. Our defense needed help today, and we didn't give it to them.
Yeah, and listen, it's easy to take the blame on a day when you also clinched a playoff berth, right? That's like easy for a coach, and coaches should, take the lion's share, but that's easy for the coach to say, hey, that's on me, but hey, by the way, look at us. We're a playoff team. We've got bigger goals. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest about what the path is ahead for the Cowboys. They're pretty much penciled into the number 5 seed.
Yep.
They'll play the 4 seed, the NFC South winner, probably win that game just like last year, and then they're just
probably
sitting.
Tampa, just like last year.
Just like last year. Then they're going to be staring at that game against the Niners. Again, I think the overall wrap on the Cowboys, you have great points about being on the road, but I think the overall wrap is doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. They're a show me in the postseason team, and it just feels like history repeating itself. I love Dak's game. I think he's a really good quarterback, but you saw it last night. When things get tough against a team like the Niners, the Niners, like the Bills, can rush the passer. I think it's going to be a tough sledding ahead.
Yeah, well, Dak Prescott MVP, good night. Dallas Cowboys, can they actually win a big game on the road? I don't think so. Yeah. And I think it's you can't hear the cadence, you can't hear the here we go. Or maybe the team's not tough enough. It's a lot.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
I'm curious if the warm weather in Miami next week helps them. I know it's Christmas and the South Beach flu and all that stuff. I think it's a different game next week.
It's going to be worse.
No, I don't think so, because Miami is not beating a good team. Buffalo is desperate. I don't think Miami's desperate like Buffalo is.
Okay, but what's the one thing that Miami does really, really well? They run the ball. And this is the same Kyle Shanahan tree that Mike McDaniel is a branch off of that tree. They can also run it on the Cowboys, and they could run it badly. Now, the difference is, is Tyreek Hill going to be back for this game? And are they going to start to try to force feed Hill at all to try to get him that 2,000 yards? I mean, that's out of control, right? That's not happening.
Miami can run the ball against bottom feeders. They have not run the ball against good teams. I mean, I don't think they ran it well against the Eagles when they lost there. They did not run it against the Bills in week whatever that was.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
September.
They haven't proven that running attack works against good teams. I'm telling you, there's a stark difference playing against winning teams with Miami. I think Dallas, I am not going to bury them because of this loss at all.
855-212-4CBS. Kind of the yin and the yang of the Cowboys yesterday, which is you clinch a playoff berth, and then your team goes out and gets smoked. And you just double down and prove that on the road, this team is just not as good, not as tough. And the fact is, you likely are going to have to win 3 road games if you really want to go where you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, we'll give them that first week against the NFC South. They'll win that game. They're good at that. That's
Baker resurgence yesterday in Green Bay?
Well, yeah, but it could be New Orleans, too. Either way.
Right now, Tampa holds the tiebreaker against
them. Yes. But there's a lot of football left. There are 3 games left. Who knows? Watch Atlanta come back and win that stupid division, the NFC South. If the Cowboys can't beat the NFC South winner, then there's no reason to even be talking about them. I think they do. I think they're on a collision course with San Francisco and the MVP of the NFL, Brock Purdy.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I heard you just sneak in that Brock Purdy MVP thing right there. Snuck it in right at the end of the segment.
Just like Brock Purdy is sneaky athletic.
We're going to get to that. Brock Purdy, did he cement his MVP candidacy last night? Or is Lamar Jackson going to have something to say about it? Because that was a special performance for Lamar and the Ravens last night in Jacksonville. So much more to do. And want to hear from you. 855-212-4CBS. You can watch the show if you'd like. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. It's Maggie and Perloff just getting going on this Monday, CBS Sports Radio.
Here we go.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. It's just the energy we have to put into convincing Maggie that the Buffalo Bills are going to be all right. It's unbelievable.
No,
it's the hardest thing.
I'm here with you now.
No, you're not.
All they had to do was run the ball for more yards than they have in like 5 years, and now I'm back in.
You were worried about the new coach bump for Easton Stick and the Chargers.
Listen, what you and I talk about privately doesn't necessarily have to make it onto the air all the time.
I understand it. I think that is the real fan inside of you, because I get like that too. Like, until the trophy is hoisted, I do not believe that anything good is going to happen to me either.
Perloff is calling me out because last night the Bills were up by 4 touchdowns, and he's like, let's do the call. I was like, let's just see what Dallas does on this drive. Yeah. And Dak Prescott threw an interception. I was like, all right, now we can do the call.
And what did I respond? I said, what are they going to score, a 24-point touchdown?
And I said, maybe. You never know. It's the Bills. I don't. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys do have a way to score a 24-point touchdown that maybe the league all of a sudden is like, well, we called New York and they said it's okay. But just keep in mind when Perloff's calling me out about this, this is somebody who could not watch the Texans game live because you're friends with Case Keenum, who is the backup quarterback who played yesterday afternoon, and led them to a come-from-behind win. And EJ and I are texting like, Case, hey, exclamation points. Perloff's like, don't tell me what happens.
I didn't realize NFL games came with spoiler alerts for Perloff.
It's like in real time. Like, you're not watching Case? Come on.
I do this with the Eagles. Sometimes I just hit pause on the TV and I'm like, you know what? I need to catch a breath. And I get this from my dad. My dad is he's on the brink of a total collapse at all times. You guys don't do that? Leave the room during a
No.
game? But you know that where you're standing affects the outcome on the field, right?
See, and
we
you're
all
telling
know
me
this.
that I'm not buying
That's
in
just a
enough.
sports fact. That's science, Maggie.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Russ is in San Francisco, and I think he's got a welcome for us, a unique one. Hey, Russ, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing great. How you doing?
Good, good. Hey, I wanted to welcome you to the Bay Area.
We
You
appreciate
guys-
it. We just found out that we're on in the Bay Area last week.
Yeah,
Awesome.
last couple of weeks, and like I said, I got a 2-hour drive into San Francisco, Bay Area, and I listen to you guys every Monday morning.
So you'd like a little more San Francisco talk.
Hey, give them some love.
Oh,
Hey,
how
Russ,
could we not?
Russ,
They're
can we
amazing.
get on that bandwagon? Like I want.
Don't let him on.
Can you
let
send
him
me
on.
a Niners jersey? Because
No.
that team looks like a juggernaut right now.
Russ, do not waste your money. Do not let Perloff get anywhere near your bandwagon. It's full. He does not deserve to be on your bandwagon.
No, like I said, I love listening to you guys, and I'm a Buffalo Bill fan. I was born in Erie, Pennsylvania, so I grew up a Bills fan.
There we go.
And but been in the Bay Area for quite a few years now, and I think what the Niners and Brock are doing it's worthy of some more talk.
Oh, definitely, Russ. And we're massive fans of what they're doing, and drive safely out there. I don't want to get things twisted around here.
Yeah.
I think the Niners are incredible. Like, they're the most complete team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Where I have to stop short is I think McCaffrey should be the MVP candidate, not Brock Purdy. Now, I know how this game works, right? It's a quarterback award. So, like, Maggie, just get on board. But I want to just kind of stay in the little lane I've carved out in here, not because I'm stubborn, but because I really think McCaffrey is the more deserving person.
Okay. I know where you're coming from. You are stubborn, first of all.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to point that out. You're quite
Extremely.
stubborn. Let's be honest about that.
It matters big and small.
If you took out McCaffrey, you would have a chance to win. If you take out Brock Purdy, you're putting in Sam Darnold, and that is a major downgrade. So I think in that sense, Brock Purdy is more valuable.
Okay, but but that's also just a function of who the backup is. Like, if you actually had a better backup in San Francisco, I think Josh Johnson, if he hadn't gotten hurt, could have beaten the Eagles last year.
No way. I think you're underestimating how well Brock Purdy is seeing everything right now. He is in
amazing.
a zone. He's
good.
totally in a zone, and he's doing things. He's playing physical football. I'm amazed he doesn't get hurt because he's putting himself out there, making deep throws. He's doing everything.
Okay, but you watched Brock Purdy yesterday, and he was awesome. I mean, they kill the Cardinals. Cardinals were able to run a little bit yesterday, but like the offense just torches the Cardinals. And then you watched Lamar Jackson last night.
Yes.
And we're talking about MVP candidates, and it's just like, it's amazing. It's probably going to come down to these two guys because they're two like polar opposites. Like, what do? You have Brock Purdy, who's distributing the ball all around, making high difficulty throws, high degree of difficulty. I'm going to give you that. The one to Ayuk on the sideline was just like perfect. I mean, beautiful. But then you have Lamar, who's like doing it all.
Yeah, but
moving around to keep the plays alive and throwing, and like Lamar's like a one-man offense. So how do you decide who's more valuable there?
Well, we already gave Lamar an MVP for being a one-man offense, and I heard the news this offseason that they're going to change and they're going to run more of a system. And guess what the system is? Lamar, go back there and run around for 15 seconds and make a play. That's not a system. So Lamar already got his MVP. Give it to someone new. Yes, he's amazing. I'm not saying anything bad, but we've seen this movie.
Leland is in Sacramento. Good morning, Leland.
Hey,
How are you?
Good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Perloff.
What's up?
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I always wanted to say I, too, listen to you on Mondays.
Thank you.
Also, welcome to the market. I used to listen to you, I think, at the 4 to 5 hour, but now you're on, they have you on earlier. I get up, you guys are on.
Awesome.
And appreciate the commentary analysis.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, I wanted to say, I'm looking at the those teams that have clinched a playoff spot, and there are 49ers and a couple other teams.
Yep.
I think the Cowboys are going to get a chance to play the 49ers again in the playoffs. Do you agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think Maggie raised an important point about coaching.
Mm.
And I don't think that Mike McCarthy's he's a great coach, but he's not on the level of Kyle Shanahan, and I'm predicting a 49ers win. And I'm not taking anything away from the Cowboys. They're a great team. Dak Prescott is a great quarterback. But
no, I think you're reading this right, though, Leland, and thank you so much for the call and the warm wishes. I mean, you're reading this correctly. Even the most staunch Dallas Cowboy fan would have to think, if we face San Francisco again, we might get another close game. You got to hope for another close game. But, man, we could be in some big trouble.
Yeah, the fact that they already got their blowout in San Francisco makes me feel like maybe it's going to be a different outcome the next game. I know that doesn't follow logically, but it's hard to beat a good team that soundly twice. Feels almost like a divisional game at this point. I feel like the Cowboys actually bizarrely show up for that next game. And I think it's a close game, too. I don't think the Niners are going to beat them 42-10 again.
Yeah, to me, the Mike McCarthy aspect of this doesn't make me feel great if I'm the Cowboys. I agree Kyle Shanahan would coach circles around Mike McCarthy, but Kyle Shanahan against Dan Quinn in a rematch. Maybe I like that a little bit more. Marco Balletti is here with some headlines this morning. Good morning.
Morning, guys. And we're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water, see how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. Well, we're inching towards the end of the season. Playoff spots continue to be bunched up. Now you got the Texans, Colts, and Jaguars all tied for the AFC South lead, thanks in large part to apparently Perloff's big friend, Case Keenum, the Houston product, coming off the bench for C.J. Stroud, led the Texans to the overtime win over the Titans.
Wearing the name of Houston on the front of my jersey, which I've done for a long time, and to get to do it again and represent for our city, for our team, it means a lot. It really does.
So cool story. Texans get the win. In large part, they held Derrick Henry to 9 yards on 16 carries.
Yeah, definitely tough. I don't really have no words. Just wasn't good enough, and yeah, tough.
All right, so he's not thrilled. Yeah. We know Tennessee's not going to the playoffs, right? Yeah. We knew that. Is he maybe alluding, though, to his time in Tennessee being done?
Being eliminated, knowing there's 3 games left. I've been here my whole career. Definitely want to go out strong, which that isn't the case. But just try to give them all these last 3 games and leave it all on the field.
Now, keep in mind, his contract's up at the end of the year. But did that sound like a guy that's already got 2 feet out the door?
I don't think you have to read into that. He basically just said, I'm leaving. I mean, he said, love you, Nashville. I'll see you maybe on the road one day.
And now the question becomes, a 29-year-old running back who has been a total workhorse, what does that do on the market with the Saquon Barkleys and all that? I mean, we're going round and round and round. I mean, he wants out, obviously, but what's his market?
Yeah.
He needs to be a volume carrier to be that effective, too. So he's only good if he gets 25 carries a game, and nobody's going to do that next year.
I think the biggest question for Tennessee is, I guess Levis, yes? We're going with Levis, right?
Nasty
going with him,
injuries,
Whether he's the guy or not is a different story.
I mean, I think that this definitely keeps them. They're not going to draft another quarterback, right? I think Levis gets the job next year.
Probably, but I don't think it's like an early Jalen Hurts. I don't think they're so sold on him. I think they're going to try him out next year because he has a good play and a bad play.
Yeah, I think they probably see his ceiling. He's not even close to it, and he's got the big arm.
Yeah.
And
doesn't have sleeves. That is one thing we know about him. Dude loves to show off the cannons.
Well, if you had arms that look like that, you probably would never wear a shirt either.
There's an emerging narrative about my friend Case Keenum, by the way. Not only did I root for him as a friend, we wrote a book together. I've known him a long, long time. But he is now representing all the middle-aged dads out there. Now that Ryan Fitzpatrick...
Wait, Joe Flacco's not doing that for you?
No, Flacco too, but Ryan Fitzpatrick held this mantle for a long time. But who do you see flipping hamburgers on a grill more than Case Keenum, hosting a barbecue, having the friends over? He is the dad quarterback in the NFL
Wait a
right
minute,
now.
but now 35 is middle age. I'm only 32, so that means I'm 3 years from middle age. That's
it's just in NFL terms, and also the way Case
not
carries.
real life, EJ. You're fine.
Yeah, okay. The way Case carries himself too, like Aaron Rodgers is 40, but he is not that. He's not in that lane at all.
No, he's not a dad, and he gives off no dad vibes.
No. He's at clubs in Chelsea.
Yeah, no,
Trust
he's
me.
cool.
Yeah.
Case Keenum,
he's going out at night.
Yeah.
Most 40-year-olds, we're not going anywhere.
Case Keenum's just like us.
Bolivia to do psychedelic drugs. That's not exactly flipping burgers, but unless you're really multi-talented.
Case Keenum, like us, gets annoyed if the night game goes too long. He's like, it's 11:30. I gotta wake up to get the kids.
Kirk Cousins gives me those vibes too.
Oh, Manny,
you know what? But he's hurt, so he's
should be called the Kirk Cousins Award.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, who we found out on the Netflix documentary, just loves to spend his off days at Barnes & Noble. Just browsing. They didn't buy anything.
Kirk Cousins, Case Keenum, middle age of the 2000s, Aaron Rodgers, middle age of the hippie era in the 1960s.
Yeah. Who else? Like Ryan Fitzpatrick was definitely a dad. I mean, he had a bunch of kids. Phillip Rivers.
He's got like 7 kids, right?
Yeah, I think once you have kids.
Yeah.
What was it? Who is and my wife's theory on Patrick Mahomes that the only reason the offense is struggling is because he's got 2 kids under 5. That'll do it, Maggie.
Well, I have got 1 kid under 5. And it's a handful.
You guys have
I can still run the offense though.
EJ, you have no idea the stress.
I don't want to have an idea.
You got it someday, buddy.
Can't wait for that.
All right, I do want to go back to Saturday night. We know the Lions rolled the Broncos. Of course, that got the close-up of Sean Payton laying into Russell Wilson. Now, Payton claims we didn't see what we saw.
Was upset about the call. That's all. Simple. That's it.
When you got on Russell, it looked like you yelled at Russell.
No, I was upset at the call.
Yeah, he wasn't done there, though.
If you're upset with the call, what were you yelling at Russell about?
Listen, what I talk with Russell about is none of your business.
See, that's a problem.
Is this weird? There's part of me that believes him. Am I a total gullible person? First of all, the sideline camera, what it looks like, the depth perception is really off. Don't you notice that?
Do you think he's yelling not directly at Russell Wilson, but off to the side?
I think it was generally yelling. And then he's like, and then you're pressing me on it, and now I'm just going to be Sean Payton. I'm going to be Sean Payton after I just got blown out. I'm not going to be nice. I'm not going to be cordial. There's part of me that really believes that was a bad call. It was a false start, right? That took him.
All
took him
sides.
out.
But the thinking is there was two plays that looked like the Broncos got into the end zone, and people think that Sean Payton was yelling at Russell Wilson because he ran the next play too quickly and didn't give the upstairs guys time to look at the film and throw the challenge flag. So I think that's it. If he was yelling at Russ, it's because Russ moved too fast and screwed up the challenge.
Let's ride.
And Maggie, come on. This is Sean Payton.
I know.
Mr. Bountygate. You really think he's going to be honest up there?
I should not be giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
And that's legitimate, but here's my problem with that. You can talk to Russell Wilson in the headset.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Maggie's right. Maybe he was just yelling about the call. I mean, the whole drive was so frustrating because they had 2 they could have thrown the flag on either. I'm not sure what the officials would have done. They were very close.
Right, but I mean, again, that's on Payton. It almost feels like he's being Sean Payton and he's deflecting. What he was angry at a lot of different things on the sideline. It's just hard to believe that he wasn't angry at Russell Wilson
also,
too.
Yes.
And that's fine. You're going to get angry at people. It's okay. It's just afterward. No, what I talk to him about is our business. Well,
and by the way,
that's not really how this works.
To put any of that loss on Russell Wilson, I mean, that defense got torched.
Yeah,
I think it was 42 points in
that
one.
was impressive.
This was a Detroit Lions, you thought we were dead. Here's 5 touchdowns in your face.
Talking about a team that needs to be at home. By the way. Oh, my God, and play indoors. That was indoors. Although I have to tell you, Sam Laporta, oh my gosh, he's going to torch the Eagles in the playoffs. That guy is unbelievable.
3
tight end.
touchdowns.
Oh. All right, a note from last night. Ravens reported losing tight end Keaton Mitchell for the season. That's with a knee injury, of course, running tonight. Running back. Of course, you got the Eagles and the Seahawks tonight in Seattle. We'll see if Jalen Hurts plays. Downgraded to questionable with the illness. Of course, Philly getting some more breathing room with the Cowboys loss, though. Something happened last night that hasn't happened since December 1st of 2018. We got any guesses on this? December 1st, 2018.
This has got to be something Jacksonville related.
Baker Mayfield throws 4 touchdowns.
No.
We have a 7-6 football game.
No, I'm sure we've had plenty of those. The
Joe
Giants and Jets
Flacco throws for 3 touchdowns.
Could be. However, we're going to basketball for this one. For the first time since December 1st of 2018, Steph Curry played a game and did not hit a 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I did hear this.
Yeah. So that breaks the streak of 268 consecutive games where he had at least 1 3. He was 0 of 8 from 3. He was 2 of 12 overall, but the Warriors still won.
That's how you know the Warriors are washed.
Why? They won.
No, it was the Trailblazers. They won by 4.
I mean, if Curry's not knocking down threes, how long could this possibly last?
Right.
I mean, the Warriors are in trouble now. We're on in the Bay Area these days. I think people there understand more than anyone. You got Draymond suspended indefinitely. Clay,
So him not being on the floor knocked down this record, and Curry can't hit a 3 anymore.
well, not anymore. Be careful.
Hit one last night.
Yeah, anymore. That's it.
I think when Andrew Wiggins did come off the bench, he scored 25 points. They moved him to the bench. Maybe this will give them some kind of spark. I don't know. It looks really bad for the Warriors.
Who's starting in his place again?
They're starting Podzinski, the rookie.
Oh yeah, from where? Santa Clara.
Santa Clara.
Yeah,
that kid's good. He could shoot.
Nice. I love it.
I got nothing to say. Shut up. Shut up.
I'm very disappointed in Scoot Henderson, by the way. I thought he was going to take the Rookie of the Year vote. And any new listeners might have to know that if Victor Wembanyama wins Rookie of the Year, I have to drive to San Antonio
to apologize to him for calling him Victor Wembustiyama.
And I was sure Portland's Scoot Henderson was going to be the guy to beat him, and it's not happening.
No, Chet Holmgren is your only hope, but I don't think he should even be eligible for Rookie of the Year because he was in the NBA last year.
And also, he's not overwhelmingly better than Wembanyama. They're pretty close stats-wise.
I agree with you. Oh, speaking of show bets, now that one might get paid off, will get paid off, hopefully.
Wembustiyama?
In the year 2024. We have another show bet that's going to get paid off in 2024 based on whether Michigan can beat Alabama in the college football playoff. However, starting today and through the end of the week, we are going to be counting down the top 5 greatest moments of the Maggie and Perloff Show in the year 2023. And just a hint, a lot of them are show bets that we have paid off over the year.
Oof. Yeah, why do we do this to ourselves? What are we thinking?
Because it's fun.
Shut up, Dave.
855-212-4CBS. Is that when Perloff told Big Dave in Kentucky to shut up?
Shut up, Dave.
You were angry.
I think this is actually when you guys had
Marinick.
Marinick, when you guys had spicy wings and
our assistant program director. Right. You would never tell Big Dave to shut up.
But you tell your boss to shut up, though.
I'm scared of Big Dave.
Shut up, Dave.
That was the spicy chicken nuggets. That was a good one. Perloff was hurting.
Oh, yeah, we were just delirious from all the pain, Perloff, at that point in time.
That stunk. That was not fun at all. Everyone's like, oh, those aren't really spicy. Then everybody who tried one was like, ooh, bacon. Remember?
Well, the worst part.
Remember. I indulged, and they kicked in after maybe like 3 or 4.
Well, the worst part about it was you had to eat the 10 chicken nuggets or whatever, but you couldn't drink any water or anything until after you were done.
Yeah.
So the spice just kept building and building and building, and there was no way you couldn't drink any milk or anything.
Is that what happened? I don't remember. I blocked out this.
Yes, that's what happened.
Blocked out or blacked out?
I don't know.
A coach telling us that he blacked out over the weekend. Did he live to see the agony of defeat or the thrill and the ecstasy of winning? We'll let you know in just a moment. Also, we see you guys on the phones. We'll get back to your phone calls. Dallas Cowboys, an alarming loss on the road, or the fact that you clinched a playoff spot means all is forgiven. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff right here on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Good morning. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. What a weekend in the NFL. So you guys want to talk about it? We start off with the Cowboys and the Bills. Cowboys get smoked yesterday in Buffalo. Did not see that coming. They clinch a playoff spot, though. So I guess all's well. Now they're going to play Miami, another team that can run the ball. Listen,
all is not well.
I agree. I think they have a problem on the road, and I think that's, again, could rear its ugly head in the playoffs.
I'm not saying that, first of all, it didn't matter. San Francisco is going to win out. There's no doubt about that, and they were going to have the number one seed. Everybody's got the same problem. And regardless of what happened in Buffalo, you are facing a head-on collision to go to San Francisco, and this is a big problem. I know Dallas is your Super Bowl pick, and I love it. They're probably the second best team in the NFC, and I'll say that even as an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
But right now, there's a dominant team in the NFL, so I don't even care what happened in Buffalo. Show me what you're going to do to beat the Niners.
I also think the Niners, like even watching Baltimore last night, and Baltimore took care of Jacksonville, and that was not even really a game because Jacksonville kind of blew it for themselves in the first half and really couldn't get totally back into it. I think the 49ers are better. It's like the 49ers than everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you'd have to say that Baltimore would be the next front runner. They're going to play each other, obviously, on Christmas Eve, right? But who else is there? The Chiefs? No.
Philly and Dallas, are right there. I think that's your best chance, and I don't think it's a great chance.
That's what I'm saying. Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Tony is in San Diego. Tony, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
We're doing great. What's on your mind?
Actually, I don't have a team in this week because obviously my team moved up to Los Angeles.
Sure.
But I noticed you guys are talking about Cowboys and Bills.
Yeah, they played yesterday.
The team you guys aren't talking about is Browns.
Let's talk about the Browns, Tony. I'd love to talk about the Browns. Perloff will make you believe that I don't want to talk about the Browns, but I do.
Why would I make?
Because you don't believe in any Flacco magic.
No, I do not.
Yeah, exactly. The Browns beat the Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, Jaguars, and the 49ers by 2. The Cowboys beat the Giants, Jets, Pacers, Chargers, Rams, Eagles, Panthers, and Seahawks.
Yeah.
49ers beat the Steelers, Rams, Giants, and Cardinals. Both of those teams beat the worst defenses.
Well,
the Browns beat the best defenses.
Tony, I'm glad you brought up the Browns, and it's an interesting, and thank you for the phone call and for weighing in. It's an interesting choice to go from a Charger fan and be like, my team left me. I'm going to get on the Browns bandwagon. Like, that shows a lot of confidence that you have in yourself and your ability, your mental health, all of that. Because I'm sure there's a lot of Browns fans who are lifelong born and bred who would gladly jump off that bandwagon.
This is what we call getting it out of the mud.
That's something. But I applaud you, Tony. I think that the Browns with Joe Flacco, listen, it wasn't pretty yesterday against Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But Chicago had been a hot team. Now, they blanked them in the fourth quarter because that defense is so good. And the fact that the Browns basically had like half of their team on the bench yesterday and still found a way to win that game, I'm encouraged by that.
You're not discouraged by the fact that you have a great defense and your quarterback has 5 turnovers the last 2 weeks?
Well, the Bears' defense had really been coming on.
Oh, get out of here.
With the
Bears
Montez
defense?
Sweat trade.
3 picks. Joe Flacco threw 3 picks. All you have to do as Cleveland quarterback is not turn the ball over and you're going to win a ton. I saw yesterday's game as an indictment of the Browns. You should kill the Bears in Cleveland, even with these injured players. The Bears are not a good team. Even I know they have the number 1 pick with the Panthers. They're going to be a top 10 pick. They're a bad
but Perloff,
team.
the Browns aren't going to kill people. That's not going to happen, especially with those injuries. So the fact that they came back and Flacco did throw those 3 picks, one of them was a pick 6, but weren't they all in the first half? See, he played a cleaner second half. I believe there was one in the second half. I thought they were only in the first half. Anyway, he was clean in the fourth quarter. We'll put it that way. And that's exactly what they needed. I mean, here's the thing about Flacco. Like, he's not awesome, but you only need him for a couple weeks. This isn't your solution. This isn't your hand for the future.
So all that being said, what are we doing here? What's going to happen? They make the playoffs and then what?
I don't know. Anything can happen.
I do. No, not anything can happen. They're not going anywhere. I'm sorry, they need Deshaun Watson back. They need better play at a quarterback because Flacco is making incredible plays, but you can't turn the ball over all these times. With that defense, play conservative. You should not have to go to the last second with the Bears.
Listen,
and you probably should have lost on the Hail Mary, by the way.
I actually don't have a problem with this. I think they showed a graphic during the game that like 25% of the salary, their salary cap was on the bench yesterday. Bottom line is you found a way to win. And like, say they're the 6 seed or something like that, and they end up playing the 3 seed, which could end up being the AFC South champion. You're not going to give the Browns even a shot in hell?
So what? If they win a game, big deal. They're not going anywhere. They could win a wild card game. Okay. This is not a dangerous team. If I'm in the second round and I see Joe Flacco and that Browns team coming, all you got to do is double team Njoku and you're set.
Let's go quickly to James as our pal in Modesto, California. Hey, James, how are you?
Good morning, my friends.
How you doing?
Good, man. We started off the week really well, didn't we?
How about that? Well, I know you're happy because your Raiders blew out the Chargers, but that was Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. That started the week off, you know. But who's the good one, Jekyll or Hyde? Whichever one it is. That's what I want to see the rest of the year, But hey, I'm pulling for you guys, man. I want to see the Bills and the Eagles Super Bowl. That's what I want to see.
That would be amazing.
I can't imagine.
That would be amazing. I want to see you two go at it. That'd be great. But, we got some good football left. But that cut you played on Peyton, man, that was pretty crazy. I think he was yelling at him. I think he realizes that, they're done. They're done.
James, thank you for the call. James, we're up against it. You're great for checking in. That was Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. Sean Payton, was he yelling at Russell Wilson? Was he yelling towards Russell Wilson?
Yeah, remember that story about the Broncos being the resurgent team? It all fell apart pretty quick.
I know. And if Perloff and we don't need to go at it for our teams to be in the Super Bowl, but can you imagine the show bet?
Wow.
That would happen if that actually came true? Wow.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
It was a highly anticipated matchup last night, and Lamar Jackson was the clear winner along with the Ravens. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. If you did not stay up to watch Sunday Night Football, it was the Baltimore Ravens taking advantage of Jacksonville's mistakes, Perloff. Jacksonville missed field goals. They had fumbles, turnovers. I mean, the whole thing. And meanwhile, the Ravens played a very good game. And Lamar Jackson was the clear star. I mean, he was breaking tackles. He was at all the time in the world to throw the ball. He was running the ball like we expect Lamar Jackson late in the season. He did everything for the Ravens last night.
Yeah, I wasn't as impressed as you. I don't think actually that was one of the better Lamar games in the sense that there really wasn't much there for him, so he had to run. Isn't that the storyline this year? They don't want Lamar Jackson to use his legs. They want him to be a pocket passer, and there was no pocket passing at all last night. For whatever reason, Lamar just didn't see easy throws. So he's like, I have to make a play. And he took a lot of hits last night. He had 12 runs, 3 sacks, and there was one play where he got completely drilled and somehow threw a beautiful pass.
Yep.
But I think it was a good game, definitely a good game, but it wasn't a dominant Lamar performance in the sense that he wasn't throwing it all over like we've seen him do earlier this year. Earlier this year, he was passing more effectively.
Yeah.
Last night, it wasn't quite there.
Well, only 14 pass attempts, right? Or excuse me, 14 completions, 24 pass attempts, 171 yards. I mean, Trevor Lawrence on the other side blew those numbers away. He passed 43 times, although they were trailing by 3 scores for a lot of the second half. But Lamar, you said, carried the ball 12 times for 97 yards. He averaged 8 yards a rush last night. And that, to me, okay, you want Lamar not to expose himself to injury, but you had to win a game last night. And if that's the way you got to do it, I think that's what can make Baltimore dangerous when they can combine the two. Like when Lamar is able to have that threat of the run, but able to be a more effective passer. Listen, he buys himself so much time. You say he hangs onto the ball, but he's like dancing around in there. It wears teams out.
Oh, it's impossible to deal with. But there are a lot of teams who say, if you're going to just completely sell out and have your quarterback run, the Eagles could do that with Jalen Hurts. They could run him 25 times a game. But this is the problem with Baltimore is they need to be more well-rounded than that. And I worry that they're falling back into old habits where, like, let's let Lamar Jackson do everything, which is not ideal. Now, you could also argue that the story last night was that defense. That defense there, I think they're the number 1 defense in the league right now. They're amazing, too. So I think Lamar is playing into that a little bit. Like, he's not flinging it all over the place because he's like, I'm going to play conservative and I'm going to let my defense win the game because the defense is incredible.
They were good. And what this is really setting up, which I think is pretty fascinating, is Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy on the two sides of the MVP race. And so on the one side, you have Brock, who, I mean, is playing amazing. And even if I think of Christian McCaffrey is the true MVP of the 49ers, or let's call it what it is, probably Trent Williams at left tackle. He's probably the real MVP, but we know he's not going to get the award. I think McCaffrey is so good. I think he's such it's like he's the North Star, you know? It's like if ever anything ever goes a little bit haywire, you can always go back to McCaffrey. It's like I'd say it's a security blanket, but I think that's something reserved for like tight ends and stuff. This is a guy who's dynamic also as a security blanket. So I think that's not doing him like justice. But you have Purdy, who's distributing the ball, making great plays on his own right. And then you have Lamar, who's like, I mean, the wow plays are off the charts at times. And he's clearly has to shoulder a lot more of the load.
Well, yes, except that I'm not. I agree. Brock Purdy's a system guy. The real MVP is Kyle Shanahan, who's scheming all these guys open. And I think Kittle's as much of a security blanket. I mean, the big touchdown by McCaffrey was set up because it was 3rd and long, and he hit Kittle over the middle.
No doubt.
I think Brock Purdy deserves a lot of credit for that. And again, here's the thing. Lamar Jackson won an MVP. Let's be honest about how this voting
You don't
goes.
think he deserves another one?
Well, he does deserve. He's definitely a most valuable player, but he was probably a little better. I mean, it's pretty close. He was pretty unstoppable that year, and weren't they? They only lost 2 games, 14-2. I just think that has he done anything different enough to give him a second MVP here? Because if he wins 2 MVPs and doesn't win in the playoffs, we're going to look back and say, well, maybe we're overestimating what Lamar can do here. I mean, that's just the reality of what's happening here.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, Chris Collinsworth made this point on the broadcast last night. I think it's a salient one, which is Lamar Jackson's never going to have the numbers that's going to beat the passing numbers that's going to beat out, like, a Brock Purdy. You know, like, well,
except that he did kind of on the MVP year. He had 36 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He had incredible passing numbers.
Right, but what were the actual numbers? It was like
they didn't throw for that many yards.
That's
but he's not throwing for that many yards this year either.
Right, that's what Collinsworth's point was. Right, he's never going to have the numbers of, like, he's not going to throw for 4,500 yards. This is not going to be a Matthew Stafford type of thing or something like that. So you're never going to have those eye-popping numbers, even though you had the rushing numbers in, and that's really what put him over the top for the MVP. 4 years ago, right. 2019. So,
and he's still by far leading the league in NFL quarterback rushing.
Yes, exactly. And so it's just like it set up such a interesting dichotomy because also, I just think when history looks back, are we going to see Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy and be like, wow, like we really didn't give it to Lamar because Brock was distributing to all these weapons where Lamar was doing a lot more? I don't know.
Doing a lot more. What does that mean exactly? It means Lamar is running a lot. And here's the thing. I don't even care about the MVP. Baltimore came into the season and said, why have we not won a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson? Because he's been holding on to the ball and he's been taking too many hits. So they brought in Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, and said, let's change it so the load is shared around the offense. And that's not happening now. So I just worry, why are they exposing Lamar? They were up in this game and they were doing designed runs. Just stop. Hand the ball off, which they've had a lot of injuries in that running back position, obviously. But hand the ball off. I don't want to see Lamar take 20 hits in a game. Again, when your defense is completely stymieing the other team, just slow down with the Lamar runs. That's what I would do.
Let's hear Brock Purdy, because even he is endorsing Christian McCaffrey for MVP.
Dude, I think Christian should be MVP. I really do believe that. He does everything for us, runs the ball well, can catch the ball. He does everything. And so, in my eyes, that's an MVP.
Okay. Ironically, that's going to get Brock Purdy more votes because he's such a good teammate. Of course, he would endorse Christian McCaffrey for MVP. I think, as much as I'm going to remain on my hill here about McCaffrey being the more valuable player, I think this is really shaping up very, very well for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I mean, I would go back to the argument. The Niners would definitely miss Christian McCaffrey in a huge way. But if Brock Purdy goes down, then I think the Super Bowl hopes are dashed. He's really seeing the field perfectly right now. It's like everything that I don't know what the deal is. He's not making any mistakes. Every time he drops back, he's doing the right thing. And that's a skill.
So for people who are new to the show, and we're bringing on new affiliates like crazy, so this is awesome, and thank you so much to everyone who's been supportive. You're going to learn something about us, is that we love show bets around here, right?
Yeah.
And I'm old enough to remember, and I believe this was the off season, maybe, when Andrew Perloff bet me, was it a steak dinner out in New York, that Sam Darnold was going to win a playoff game for the 49ers. And now all of a sudden, if Sam Darnold has to play, we're going to really see that Purdy is the real MVP because it's such a downgrade.
Well, no, I mean, I feel really good about this. Purdy almost got destroyed yesterday. And Purdy, by the way, like Lamar Jackson, seems to have no fear of injury. And that is a really bad
they wrap his elbow every time he goes to the sideline.
But Purdy was definitely exposing himself. And that sounds wrong.
We know what you mean. Expose himself to punishment.
I understand we're on in San Francisco, and exposing yourself definitely means something different on the streets of San Francisco these days.
Boy.
But Brock Purdy is taking huge hits. Lamar Jackson's taking huge hits. There's a lot of football left. We could talk, and the MVP, can I just say one thing? The MVP it's a stupid debate. This isn't the NBA in-season tournament. It's about winning the Super Bowl, and I don't care who wins the MVP. Who is in the best position to win the Super Bowl?
The 49ers look pretty good for that on that front as well.
Yeah, and who are they on a collision course with? With the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah,
it could be 2012 all over again. Well, they're playing next week, and it feels like, to me, they're probably going to meet in the Super Bowl. So give the MVP to either guy you want. I would rather see these two styles contrast in the Super Bowl. It'd be amazing. Brock Purdy, the ultimate system guy, and Lamar Jackson, the ultimate non-system guy. Yeah. But both of them have to stop taking these massive hits. Otherwise, we're going to have that Sam Darnold bet.
And I feel like I'll be eating steak dinner and I might get the surf and turf.
Oh, yeah. But you don't think Darnold is not great? Even we saw him a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
They could beat, say they got Tampa Bay or something. They could beat somebody.
So yesterday, Perloff, it's worth mentioning. It's a good point. At certain points during the game yesterday, you did have Purdy, McCaffrey, and Bosa all have to leave the game. Now, luckily, they all came back into the game. That was a theme yesterday, actually, if we're going to 30,000 foot this thing. Guys getting hurt and coming back in. I thought we weren't doing that. I'm not talking about the 49ers, although it looked like Purdy kind of hit his head, right? Can we call that what it is? And
his eyes looked a little glassy to me through that helmet.
Well, he also had a concussion-like symptoms when they were flying back from Minnesota after that loss, right? So that Tommy DeVito went back into a game yesterday when it looked like he was, I don't know, unconscious for a second on the field, maybe. Luckily, Zach Wilson didn't go back in, although, I mean, that looked pretty bad. He took a massive hit yesterday.
I mean, to me, that first hit he took from Chubb should have been it for him. And they put him back in after that.
Yeah, that's true. And then he went to the side.
Right. He played a couple more series before they eventually pulled him.
And we also just learned Trevor Lawrence suffered a concussion at some point in the game. And
when was that?
Yeah.
He played the whole game.
It does seem like the NFL has gotten lax on concussions. I mean, you can't ignore it. We saw last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Gardner Minshew got concussed in the middle of the game. Everybody saw it. They handed a ball off 9 times in a row afterwards, and he didn't even go to the tent.
I mean, C.J. Stroud did not play yesterday because he has a concussion, but, and I was thinking to myself, imagine his symptoms must be pretty bad if they kept him out. I hate to think that way, or maybe they're just a little worried about him as the future of the franchise, but I mean, these days, it just feels like we're sending guys back in left and right, even when they're grabbing their head, like the surefire signs that we've been told to look out for. Yeah, EJ.
And the Zach Wilson thing was particularly concerning because of how the Jets played games with it. Because first it was, well, he may have a wrist. Then it was, well, he's going back for dehydration was what they said. Yeah. And then they said he has a head injury, but not a concussion. It wasn't until the second half where they finally said, yes, he does indeed have a concussion. I don't know how we went from wrist to dehydration to head, but not concussion, and then concussion.
What other kind of head injury can you have? A bad hair day? I don't know what else.
A skull fracture? I'm not even trying to it's kind of a joke, but it's not. I mean, that's really kind of the only other thing I could think of, right?
Only the Jets.
Right.
Well, we'll get to them.
If you actually,
Aaron Rodgers couldn't hide his disdain yesterday.
If you actually want to do the 30,000-foot view thing, I mean, quarterback injuries.
It's crazy.
I mean, we were arguing about this on our call yesterday. I mean, the amount of backup quarterbacks and the effect it's having on the league now. And I'm telling you right now, there are 3 games left. I can't wait. We got Tua out there taking hits. We got Lamar Jackson taking hits. We got Brock Purdy taking hits. I wonder who we're going to see in the playoffs. I mean, Maggie, how's your arm? Are you warming up? Because you might get signed to it.
I mean, it's a backup quarterback fest. Now, where you and I were disagreeing on this was you think that the product's been really bad. And I've been saying, wait a minute, but are you not entertained?
I am
because
not.
I watched, Cincinnati and Minnesota.
Overtime. Poorly played.
T. Higgins may have had the catch of the year. I'm being entertained. I'm watching yesterday the Bears and the Cleveland Browns.
Awful
I'm
game.
Entertained. I'm
Terrible
watching
football.
I'm watching the Titans play yesterday against the Houston Texans. I'm entertained.
Neither team can even get a snap off without a penalty. I understand, but I just think there's a lot of poorly played football right now.
I mean, I'll go back to Raiders-Chargers. I mean, that was unwatchable. That was terrible.
Okay, that one was a bridge too far. I'll give you those other games we can talk about.
Like the Easton stick Aiden O'Connell, I don't want to see that, especially because one team's getting blown out. But if the teams can keep it relatively close or you get a big comeback, then I'm willing to say, all right, maybe Tom Brady was right about the league being mediocre, but at least I'm into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think look at all the great quarterbacks who are on the bench right now. We've had 7 or 8 major injuries. Justin Herbert gone. Deshaun Watson.
One, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about this because I think we're going to see more injuries. I think the playoffs are going to be backups versus backups.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You are welcome to weigh in. Brock Purdy or Lamar Jackson, who would get your MVP vote? We also, are we going to do a poll on the Cowboys? I think so. What do you think? About the loss. I mean, them not being able to win on the road, that's an issue.
Yes! Here we go! Here we go! Here we go!
How about, do you think the Cowboys can win a road playoff game?
I mean, Manny's playing the here we go, here we go. That was clearly from a Cowboys home game. because when they're on the road and the crowd is into it, you can't hear. No one can hear the cadence. I feel like that must play into it. A lot more to do, including the latest from college football. Don't worry, we have not and will not neglect college football as we talk about the NFL on this Monday. We've got it all for you. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
Purdy was definitely exposing himself.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I noticed something this weekend. There was two parallel games. AFC North teams getting killed all game by bad NFC North teams.
Yep.
And coming back to win.
Yep.
And the big question is, what does it mean? Not for the AFC North teams necessarily, too, but Minnesota loses at Cincinnati, should have won that game, couldn't execute a tush push to save their lives.
I mean, the same play 2 times in a row. They called it out on the broadcast. Was it Jason McCourty or Devin? Apologies. They're identical twins.
I think Jason did the game.
Okay, Jason.
I think.
He's like, why are you doing the tush push? And the guy who's pushing is the smallest guy on the team. You need the biggest guy on the team pushing Nick Mullins.
And Nick Mullins couldn't even handle the ball in the second one.
Yep.
And then Chicago has Cleveland beat, but Chicago's defense fell apart in the fourth quarter, and Cleveland comes away with the win. I, once again, have no idea how good Justin Fields is after that game. I just cannot figure it out, Maggie, and I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Okay, if DJ Moore catches that Hail Mary and doesn't...
Darnell Mooney, yeah.
Oh, Darnell Mooney, sorry.
Yeah.
Darnell Mooney catches that Hail Mary instead of basically catching it and then somehow bobbling it to the point where he then kicked it into the hands of the Cleveland defender, who then smartly ran it out of the end zone and sat down. I mean, maybe we're talking about Justin Fields as like, he's still hot. They're one of the hottest teams in the NFL.
But he did make a couple big mistakes in this game. And the offense did not flow like it has been flowing. I think they're going to be very tempted. If Carolina, who ends up with the number 1 pick, then the Chicago gets it.
Right.
I am not seeing an offense that you would not want Caleb Williams with. I lean right now that Justin Fields gets traded to Atlanta, and Caleb Williams is the quarterback of Chicago next year.
I love it because I do think that Justin Fields is going to get traded. I think Atlanta would be very smart to try to do something here. Now, the thing is about Atlanta, do you think that they'd rather put all their eggs into the draft basket? Now, it's not going to be easy because right now they sit at the 10th overall pick, so you'd really have to trade a lot to get up to trade with Arizona maybe at 3 if they're sticking with Kyler Murray.
Well, I mean, or they draft, there are a lot of quarterbacks around this year. Maybe they could draft a quarterback there, but Justin Fields is 24. He's basically the same age as Michael Penix and Bo Nix.
Yeah, that's true.
And I just
he needs to get paid sooner.
The only problem with Justin Fields is his contract. But I think if you put Justin Fields talent-wise into this draft, he would do well against everybody except Caleb Williams.
Is there a possibility they do both? I mean, what is Justin Fields realistically worth in the trade market?
Second rounder?
Third rounder?
I mean, Sam Darnold got a second rounder from Carolina. Now, that's one of the dumber front offices in the league, but
if you give him a second rounder and then you decide, okay, we're still going to take a quarterback in the first round and see what we have, like, is there any possibility they think about that?
I mean, that
would
would really
Penix or take a.
I got to be honest.
Bo
I feel
Nix?
like that would mark like a sea change in the NFL. Like if you trade a second round pick for a guy and bring him in, not to compete with Ritter.
Right.
And then draft another guy over him, it feels like, wow, we have really reached the 5th dimension for quarterbacks.
So explain
second
this
round
scenario.
maybe rich. I was thinking if they gave him a third round pick was more what I was thinking.
Third round pick for Justin Fields and also draft Michael Penix?
Yeah.
Wait.
Wow.
Slow down here. You're talking about Atlanta.
Yes.
And so Atlanta trades for Justin Fields.
Yes.
And then takes a later round quarterback.
Yes.
No, you're saying a first round quarterback.
Well, first round quarterback. Right.
Oh, so with
wherever they
number
land,
11
between
pick.
10 and 14.
So that means
it is.
Justin Fields is your bridge quarterback.
Right, exactly. And if he wins the job, then you say, okay, we can trade our first round pick, and you'll probably get something good for him because it's a first round pick.
I don't think so because Justin Fields is so young. The fact that you're not going, you can't have a 24-year-old bridge quarterback. That's what I would think. And Justin Fields is as good as these guys, right? Isn't he? Or that's the question.
I mean,
How good
he threw
is
a beautiful ball to Robert Tonyan, who just dropped it. That should have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
That was such a killer. I screamed at the TV.
Yep.
Let's hear from DJ Moore because, well, he was backing up Justin Fields when it comes to him or the top 2 guys in the draft.
Well, I don't know. Y'all asked me that, last week? Somebody asked me that last week. I'm still like, bro, where are y'all seeing this? Like, what makes him not the quarterback for the Chicago Bears right now? I get y'all got everybody coming out. It's like 2 of them. I don't think they better than Justin, so they cool.
It's going to get really awkward when one of those guys is going to be throwing passes to DJ Moore next year. Well, listen, he's being the good teammate. He's got to say that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is they have their own pick. That was a great loss for them yesterday.
Yeah, they right now have the 5th overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get up and get Marvin Harrison Jr., that changes the complexion too. And Justin Fields will be pretty good throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. They've never had receivers. DJ Moore is their first good receiver in years, so they could build up. They have a lot of options here. It's actually an exciting time for Bears fan. I don't mind that they lost this game. What good does a win do them? They weren't going to make the playoffs likely. So,
well, they were on the fringe. So
yeah, but I mean, still, even so, this is about the future, and I think they're going to be really interesting moving forward. I would want that GM job. I think he's actually done a nice job, Ryan Poles. The Montez Sweat trade has been very good. So anyway, I think that's a bright future with Fields or without him.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. The future, the Chicago quarterback is definitely front center. We've also been asking you, if it comes down to Brock Purdy or Lamar Jackson, who gets your MVP vote? Josh is in San Diego, has got a thought on it. Hey, Josh, what's up?
I've been a diehard Niner fan since 1995. I prefer him not to get Brock Purdy, not to get the MVP, because historically it kind of doesn't mesh with postseason and getting to the Super Bowl, and that's what counts. So you can give it to Dak, like they were talking about all last week before they got smashed by the Bills. And let's just keep going here with the Niners. Go Niners.
Josh, the thought process is inspired. I don't think you're hiding from anyone, though. The 49ers aren't sneaking up on anybody at this point. There's no under-the-radar-ness.
No,
you're right there.
He's 100% right. The MVP is so indicative of a playoff failure. It was the Peyton Manning Award forever. And
what about Mahomes? Won it and won the Super Bowl last year.
Rare. I totally see what you're saying. It's like the NBA. They give it to Giannis 2 times and he doesn't win the title. They give it to Jokic 2 times, he doesn't win the title. Finally, they don't give it to Joker, he wins the title. There must be a cause and effect here. Because I'll bet you if you look through the years, the MVP and the actual Super Bowl winning quarterback are often different things.
All right, we're going to take a little deeper dive into that as Marco Balletti is here with some headlines this morning. Hey, Marco.
Morning, guys. Well, I will say this for 49er fans. Maybe it's a good omen. 89, Montana won the MVP. 94, Steve Young won the MVP.
Yeah, but that was so obvious.
Well, it's the last time they won the Super Bowl.
And so that means you shouldn't be worried about this if you're Josh in San Diego or anyone else.
You want a good omen? I mean, that's the best I can give you.
That's a good
I know it was 30 years ago, but
you know how these modern votes say Coach of the Year is death for whoever wins that.
Mm-hmm.
That means your team has no chance.
No, Coach of the Year means you're getting fired.
Yeah, you're getting fired.
There you go.
Like Bernie Bickerstaff in the NBA. Yeah, I don't think MVP is definitely a good thing. I know that sounds weird, but it does seem like often you pick the wrong guy.
All right, well, bowl season has started, kind of, and it included UCLA finishing off Boise State in the LA Bowl, but more important than that. Now, Chip Kelly made a ton of headlines, some of the ideas he has for football as we creep up on realignment next year. Keep in mind, Bruins headed to the Big Ten, right? So Kelly with some thoughts about how they can still move the football around, but not affect the other sports.
Our softball team should be playing Arizona in softball. Our basketball team should be playing Arizona in basketball. But because football left, and they're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, Notre Dame's independent in football, and they're in a conference and everything else. I think we should all be independent in football. And you can have a 64-team conference that's in the Power 5, and you can have a 64-team conference in the Group of 5.
So Chip Kelly bringing up a lot of different things. I mean, it's not the first time you've heard this, but we're getting closer to it, and he brings up some good points.
He's saying 65 or 64 teams in the Power 5, another 64 in the Group of 5, and you play each other if you're in the Power 5, you play each other if you're in the Group of 5, you sell it to multiple different networks. He was saying that you call the divisions like Amazon and Nike.
Well, yeah, I think this was it.
Okay.
If you went together collectively as a group and said there's 132 teams and we all share the same TV contract, so that the Mountain West doesn't have one and the Sun Belt doesn't have another and SEC has one and they have another, that we all go together, that's a lot of games, and there's a lot of people in the TV world that would go through it. You can sponsor each one. Instead of calling it Group of 5 and Power 5, you can call it Amazon, Nike, bid that out to things. You do a lot of different things.
Yeah, so he, all independent, you got the TV revenue, check there, and then he thought this completely through.
We still do the same thing and take all that money, and I would do this, and I think this needs to be done. That money now needs to be shared with the student athletes, and there needs to be revenue sharing, and the players should get paid, and you can get rid of NLI, and the schools should be paying the players because the players are what the product is.
And I think that's where we hit the roadblock.
Why?
Because it feels like that's the part with college football, correct me if I'm wrong, That's what they're afraid of. I feel
They're
like that's
afraid of it.
I think that's the part where they're kind of like, oh, 64 independent, all right, and schedule, okay, we can get TV revenue, we can bring the money in, we got to share it with the players.
No, they don't want to, but look at the way the tide is going. I mean,
you're right.
NIL has come along and they lose every court battle. It's coming. I think the tide has changed in a major way.
No, I think that we're eventually going to get here, but there's going to have to be a couple boring yet necessary steps that are going to have to happen. Like you're going to have to get a union, you're going to have representation, you're going to have to figure out some of these things, and they're not going to be able. They're going to have to be they have to be employees of the organization, which I know the schools don't want.
Well, I know they don't want that, but the schools don't want any of this. They want to go back to the Sugar Bowl and some middle manager gets $1 million on a trip to the Bahamas. They want that corrupt system of the past. And guess what? Like Congress hates them. The Supreme Court hates them. Everybody hates them. It's a winner to rip the NCAA. So I don't think they can hold any of this off.
Okay, but the question is, if you become a employee of the university,
right?
So now you need to get health benefits,
yes,
right? Now
definitely.
you need to get unemployment potentially. Now we need to get, and I'm not saying we should be able to figure all this out. If Chip Kelly can figure it out, I think we can put some smart heads in the room and figure this out. But Perloff, you had a good point. We were talking about this over the weekend about Chip Kelly and Jim Harbaugh are the real proponents of this, and it doesn't feel like an accident.
I actually borrowed it from Maurice Clarett, the former Ohio State quarterback. He tweeted, he's like, Jim Harbaugh and Chip Kelly get it because they've been professional coaches and they understand that college football is professional football. So, I mean, to me, and like Maurice Clarett, I watch a college football game and there's so many commercials and they're not like ma and pa stores. It's like an Amazon commercial and a Dr. Pepper commercial and an Apple commercial. And I think, oh, well, where's that money going to? Guess where it's going to? It's going to some corrupt college employee, some middle manager somewhere, and the coach for a buyout. That should be absolutely going to the players. And I think common sense is starting to take hold here. And if a guy like Chip Kelly can figure this out, who's not exactly Mr. Personality.
Well, smart dude, but
he's not exactly. I mean,
I don't know if he should be like the front man for this.
Well, no, it's ironic. Like he's the one who's saying, let's take care of these kids. And he's not known as a guy who takes care of his athletes necessarily. He's sort of a curmudgeon. Well, I don't know how you describe him. And same with Harbaugh. But the fact that Chip Kelly and Harbaugh are doing this, they understand that college football is professional. Everything about it is professional. It's making millions and millions of dollars. And I still don't know where half that money goes. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to academics.
One of the things I also loved about this, outside of paying the student athletes, was basically saying that you'd be able to get your rivalries back. Because he said, look, if we're in a big 64-team conference and you're in the West, you'll play in a West division. So we'll get to play against the teams we normally play. We can protect those rivalries. And then we'll have, kind of like in the NFL, where the AFC has like 4 games against the NFC, we'll have 4 games against Pitt and West Virginia or whatever, and we get those out of the way. But you could somehow get those rivalries that we're now losing. You're going to lose your Washington versus Washington State. You're going to lose some of these big games that people care about in those markets. You can get those back potentially if you do actually expand to 64 teams.
Yeah, you're going to end up having, the NFC East plays the AFC East once every 4 years. It's just going to be the NFL.
Well, and I think that's where you kind of mentioned, too, with Harbaugh and Chip Kelly. The NFL experience, they just went to the NFL model, basically, and was like, we could do this. All we got to do is just figure it out. It's not as difficult as everyone seems to make it out.
It's just the paying the players part. It's not like it's impossible. It's just going to be a little complicated, right? Are you going to give each team salary caps? Are you going to do like that? You're going to need a general manager now? Is the coach going to be responsible? Like, I know who doles out the money and who decides who gets what. Like, all that stuff can be totally figured out.
I think it'll have to be collectively bargained, by the way. I think you had a good point. Like, I think that there's going to have to be a contract.
Right, and it's also the players. Do they get a flat fee?
Right,
do you
exactly.
Have to,
is every quarterback making $2 million?
Right.
Or
Is
what?
Is it just for your position, or is it slotted to who you are and what type of player you are?
Is there a penalty for if you transfer? Like if the transfer portal is going to be open potentially like free agency every year, what happens if you go from Ohio State to Syracuse? Do you get more money, less money? Do you have to give back any of your money? I don't know.
Well, here's
it's like the NFL where your contract just rolls
bonuses
over.
if you win the Heisman or if you're in the final.
I mean, one of the nastiest things about college football is that these quote-unquote 4-year scholarships are actually 1-year scholarships.
Yeah, they've gotten rid of some of those, but it's awful.
Yeah, and reason why you see a lot of these guys in the transfer portal, people assume that everybody just wants to get a better NIL deal, everybody just wants to play, and some of that is true, but some of these players are getting cut. Yeah. That's what's happening, and I think that's one of the things.
What do you think to Kyle McCord? I mean,
yeah, he got cut.
He definitely got cut.
I'm sorry, like I know, and like that's nothing against Kyle McCord. He's a talented kid, but like the fact that can happen is crap. Like,
wait.
You're telling a kid
Kyle McCord probably could have hung out if he wanted to. He probably could have been.
You know what happens? Ryan Day comes and say, "Hey, look, Kyle,
we're bringing in someone else.
You can stay here, get your degree at Ohio State, and that's fine. But we're going to bring in a new quarterback, and you're probably not going to be a starter, so you got to come off the bench, kid.
Yeah.
So I think you should probably head elsewhere. Guess what? That means he got cut. Like, and a lot of these, and that Kyle McCord is a high-end example, but there's a third-string guy, a fourth-string guy who was told he was going to have a 4-year ride at a FSU, a Miami, or Ohio State, or Michigan, or whatever, and they're being told, get in that portal, kid, because you don't got a spot here anymore.
That's true, but okay, that's a problem. But what about the fact that these kids are putting their heads on the line and not getting enough money, and there's not lifetime health care? And
it's a big problem.
It's a big problem. It's crazy to me that we've sit and we've let this go on for years and years and years. I mean, it feels like HBO Real Sports has uncovered corruption in the sport 100 million times. Remember that story about how all these bowl executives were just profiting and stealing money?
Yep.
That's when I volunteered to be the chairman of the Poinsettia Bowl.
Yeah.
And they said no.
I think
I was like, but I want the free golf clubs and the strip club.
One more thing, by the way.
Sorry, I don't actually need the strip club trip. I'll take the clubs, though.
You know what's really interesting, too? They're going to have a commissioner. That's going to happen. And that's going to happen
Greg
soon.
Sankey, step on up.
Yeah, I mean,
Chip Kelly, step on up. How long are you going to be at UCLA?
Again, I don't think he can be the front man.
Yeah, you want him as a spokesman?
Well, I mean, Harbaugh's been way out in front of this too. So he's a little more powerful than Chip Kelly because the team's better right now. He cheats, yes, that's true.
but Chip Kelly, I'm assuming, has a good relationship with Nike from his Oregon days. I have to imagine
Jordan
that's
Brand School now.
No, but I think Harbaugh's Q rating is way above Chip Kelly now because UCLA, he's an offensive genius who could score 4 points a game at UCLA. He's been really bad.
But look at our league commissioners. We have Adam Silver, Roger Goodell. We have Bettman and then Manford. These guys,
Don Garber.
Are these guys a cult of personality? I mean, come on.
A lot of them are lawyers, though.
Yeah, but I don't think you'd ever put a former coach in that, right? You need a businessman.
Marco, what else you got?
A few notes from the late game. Ravens likely lost running back Keaton Mitchell for the season, knee injury. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence placed in concussion protocol. Jets level of futility up to 13 straight years without a playoff berth, officially eliminated with the lopsided loss to the Dolphins. Longest playoff drought in sports, and DJ Reed basically summed up the last 13 years.
It's a good old ass whooping, man. Sometimes get your ass whooped, man. This is simply put it.
Yeah, and the Jet fans know that feeling very well.
Well, yeah. Watching a little bit of that game, I didn't check in for a ton of it, but Aaron Rodgers can't even hide it. Like, he can't even poker face this thing when you're getting smoked. He's like visibly, he's got a headset on.
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
He was being a freaking weirdo. He's got a headset on. He's shaking his head. He's rolling his eyes. I mean, he knows there's a camera on him.
I think he's a bum.
Yesterday,
he's an absolute bum.
Yesterday was really one of the first times I was like, oh, Salah's gone. Like, Rodgers is openly, he's never going to throw Nate Hackett under the bus, right? Hackett's his dude. They both love the worst Austin Powers movie.
Which is why there's an issue there, though.
Because who's the next coach? Is it someone to placate Rodgers, or would it be someone who should actually be the next head coach of the Jets?
Right, but if Salah's out, which you might be right, he might be tired of Salah. But here's the thing. He loves Hackett so much.
Yeah.
Anybody they hire is now come with the stipulation, but Hackett's still your offense coordinator?
100%.
Who in the hell would want to do that?
I have the one person who might be able to do this.
Wait, should we tease it, or?
Sure.
Is that tease worthy?
I think there's one person that, with these particular standards and given how they coach football, I think that this would be totally fine for them to be the Jets' next head coach.
I'm interested. Marco, thank you so much for the headlines and also giving us that cliffhanger. EJ will reveal who should be the next head coach of the Jets next. 855-212-4CBS. A lot more to do, including we're going to tell you who's in and who's out when it comes to this NFL playoff picture. Got a lot of updates for you. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. But I want the free golf clubs and the strip club.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Crazy football weekend. We're going to get through some, we'll do some playoff scenarios. Top of the hour. Got a poll question out there for you about the Dallas Cowboys, who you get the sense need a home game more than most. Maybe you put...
Here we go! Here we go! Here we go!
And partially so the rest of the team can hear those here we goes, which they couldn't last night in Buffalo, or at least it didn't seem like they could at all. Detroit would be another team that looks like they very much benefit from having home field advantage. Let's hear a little bit more from Dak Prescott. He said the Cowboys don't play as well on the road.
It's a huge difference. And really, it's what this next week of preparation and honestly these next couple of weeks are about is figuring out what that difference is and trying to close that gap. Obviously, we'd love to come out, start like we play at home, produce like we do at home, but that just hadn't been the case.
Here we go!
7-0 at home, averaging 40 points per loss. They are 3-4 on the road, averaging 22 points. So clearly the math, it's right there for you. And they still have a shot to win the NFC East. I think they need it so they can at least be assured one home game in the postseason.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because the Eagles end their season with 2 games against the Giants and 1 game against the Cardinals. The Eagles can afford to lose tonight to Seattle and still have an easy path because they get the tiebreaker over the Cowboys. I believe they still have the tiebreaker over the Cowboys if they both end up with the same record. I mean, let's be real, though. Both the Cowboys and the Eagles have a major problem. I don't think I disagree with you.
Yeah,
in
the
sense.
49ers are the major problem.
I
yes.
don't think it matters who wins the NFC East. Somebody's going to need to figure out something with those Niners. So to me, it's just sort of window dressing which team actually ends up. And that's my team, the Eagles. Right now, the way both the Cowboys and the Eagles look, I don't think it matters. I think they're going to both have to go to San Francisco, and it's going to be nearly impossible.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I'm curious to hear from Cowboy fans because how do you feel yesterday? You clinch a playoff spot, so you're all good there. And then 30 minutes after you find out that news, you get blown out. Now, before we went to break, EJ claims that he is the next head coach for the New York Jets. And the only reason on God's green earth why we'd be talking about the New York Jets today is because Aaron Rodgers is on the sideline visibly upset. Like,
Backing up the fellas.
He is shaking his head. He's rolling his eyes. He looks like he's sick to his stomach. He's got a headset on. We also got the news yesterday from Adam Schefter and I think a couple others that Rodgers is actually healed enough to be medically cleared. If the Jets had not been eliminated from the postseason for the 13th straight year yesterday, then Rodgers would have had a decision to make on whether or not to come back. Did you also see the practice footage that came out of him taking the 3-step drops by himself?
I saw the 3-step drops. There's allegedly interception that happened in practice that wowed everybody, though no one has footage of that somehow. It's like Chamberlain's 100-point game.
Did it happen in Hershey, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
So yesterday watching Rodgers just really be disgusted kind of on the sideline made me think Robert Saleh's probably gone. Now, Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator, clearly isn't going anywhere because Rodgers loves him and credits so much of his MVPs, his last 2 MVPs to him. So EJ has the perfect coach who would coach the Jets and still allow Hackett to be on the staff?
Yeah. So think about this. The Jets lack competency at the head coach position. Robert Saleh seems like a great defensive coordinator, but doesn't seem to be head coach material given how poorly coached Jets look each and every week.
Okay.
So you have the Hackett problem. Okay, that is a problem. But let's think about coaches who have had to survive some, let's say, shoddy play calling at times, but has been known as a leader of men, a guy who can bring true stability to an organization, something the Jets need. And right now, he doesn't seem too happy with the team he's currently coaching out in Pittsburgh.
All right, man, let's be honest, right? We're a fundamentally poor football group right now. We're playing losing football. And I take responsibility for that. By losing football, I mean we're just not doing fundamental things well enough. We're not.
Wow. You think the Jets should trade for Mike Tomlin?
Yes.
Whoa.
He's the only guy. Now, this is in this terrible scenario where Hackett's still the offensive coordinator. So if I was being realistic, I don't think many coaches could handle the Hackett situation. I'd hope that they just start fresh. But with Rodgers around, and it's realistic to think that Hackett will still be around, who is a coach that can overcome?
Wait, is this because Tomlin wouldn't fire Matt Canada? You think he'll just go out there with any offensive coordinator?
He had Matt Canada. They would have winning records with Matt Canada. And look, he had winning records with Matt Canada, and he didn't have Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But if you have someone like Mike Tomlin, who seems like his message has worn out his welcome in Pittsburgh, maybe he comes to New York, he brings a level of stability, he brings a level of respectability, and that's really what the Jets need right now.
Wow. Mike Tomlin, a trade in the conference?
Well, so let me ask, you're a Jets fan, right?
Swimming.
Yes.
What is the So what's the highest possible record would be 9-8, and the lowest possible record would be 8-9 with the Jets next year with Mike Tomlin?
What?
Come on, Rodgers.
Come on, like you're going to slow down this offense even more by bringing in Mike Tomlin?
No, it can't be slowed down anymore.
Yes,
given
watch
what the
Mike
Jets
Tomlin
offense
slow it
is.
down. Give Mike Tomlin that defense, and he will suck the wind out of that football game so fast.
Look how they play now. Look how they play now with Hackett. Look how they played before with Mike LaFleur. I think if Aaron Rodgers is there and he says, look, Aaron Rodgers, you're the coach of the offense, okay? You're the coach. You make everybody do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I'll trust you with that. You trust me with leading this locker room, bringing this team together. And you could keep Jeff Ulbrich as defensive coordinator. He's not doing a bad job. I have no problem with Jeff Ulbrich, and he may be a head coach at some point in time. And Mike Tomlin comes in. He's just a CEO of the team. He's getting the team playing the right way. He's talking about those fundamentals that the Steelers lack that they're not listening to, and maybe he brings that to the Jets.
Okay, it's inspired. I'll give you that. For a second, I thought you were about to say Belichick. I'm like, Belichick's not doing that.
I don't want Belichick. Get him out of here.
So here's the question, though. If you are going to trade for Mike Tomlin, what are you giving up? Because if you're the Jets right now, if the season ended today, you have the 6th overall pick. So you're not giving that up.
No, you get a 2nd round pick.
You think that would do it?
Or what I would do is, so you're in a tough position because the Packers pick is kind of in limbo, right? Or does it become a 2nd? I don't remember exactly the situation.
Oh, the Rodgers. Oh, because
right.
Rodgers didn't play,
so Jets keep their pick. I don't remember if it turns into a 2nd or if it lays over. Either way, I would either trade next year's 1st round pick if I can. So not this year, but 2025, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I'd give them a 2nd this year.
You got to
pick for a head coach?
I'm sorry. I love all your logic, and they're great points, but you got to bring in an offensive coach. I mean, I know Hackett's there. You cannot go from Robert Saleh to Mike Tomlin.
But I agree. But look, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and the team has clearly shown that he runs the organization. So I'm like, okay.
That's terrible.
I agree. Let me make it clear. I'm not saying that this is the best case scenario. I'm saying it's the best case scenario if Hackett still has to be here and Aaron Rodgers still has to be here. This is how you get this done in a way I think inspires confidence in the next season. Who has confidence going next season with Saleh still here?
Yeah, nobody. But, I mean, I'll give you that. I think Mike Tomlin gets people's attention for sure. I think a lot of guys, remember that, maybe it was a little fakakta, but you remember the players poll in The Athletic where they said, who's the one coach besides your own that you would want to play for? And it was like Mike Tomlin by an overwhelming number. Like, I do think guys want to play for him.
Except this year's Steelers team, but
except for these
I don't think George Pickens is in that poll.
Except for Pickens, Deontay Johnson, and Najee Harris.
The entire defense on Saturday is like, we're good. We're done for the year.
I know. EJ, I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea. I don't know if I'm not convinced the Steelers are moving on from Tomlin.
It just feels like there's so much pressure in Pittsburgh right now. It's more pressure than I think that they face to change their coach.
It's been 16 years. I mean, it's been a good run.
Right.
Won a Super Bowl with them.
They might have a losing record. In fact, I think they will have a losing record this year. They're 7-7. That team looks like a team that's going to win 2 more games. Hell no.
Wait, can I tell you what happened with my bet, or does no one want to hear this? This was the worst beat of all time that turned into a miracle win.
I love the TikTok of this was wonderful. It was so fun to follow with you. I love this.
So this game, the Colts and Steelers game Saturday afternoon, like it was over, right? Like the Steelers, they didn't get blown out.
Jumped out. They should have easily controlled that game, and they did not at all.
No, they did not at all. And the Colts win the game, but it's like a 2-score game with 3.5 minutes left to go. Or basically, I have the over bet, 42.5. I need them to get to 40.
42.5. Okay.
Right. So they're sitting there, and it was at 40.
The total was at 40.
Yeah, the total. And Matt Gay, the kicker for the Indianapolis Colts, doinks a field goal. Okay.
It wasn't even that far, was it?
I think it was like a 42-yarder, something like that. Inside though, and doinks it. So I'm like, what a sting to lose an over-under bet on a doink field goal. Like, that's got to suck. So when the Steelers get the ball back, they do nothing. The Colts get the ball back, and they start to take a knee in victory formation. Mike Tomlin calls a timeout. 2.5 minutes left to go. They're in victory formation, the Colts. Tomlin calls a timeout. It ticks off the Colts. They're like, all right, well, now we got to run plays because, like, he's going to keep calling timeouts. And it ticked off Shane Steichen and the Colts staff. It's like, all right, they move the ball, they get back into field goal range, and Matt Gay kicks another one, and 43. I win the bet.
By half a point.
Thank you, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
You're the real MVP.
Future Jets coach.
The only bet I won of the week. Ouch. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Okay. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The Buffalo Bills now circling the wagons a little closer to a playoff berth. It felt improbable after they dropped some pretty bad games. The Patriots, the Denver Broncos, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, and some others. But last night, after the Dallas Cowboys find out that they had clinched a playoff berth, they no-showed this game in Buffalo. Dallas moves on. We'll get to them in a second because even though they got the playoff berth, it doesn't mean everything's great in Dallas. But meanwhile, Buffalo is going to make this playoff race in the AFC very, very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Buffalo's making it, Maggie. They're definitely, because the teams that they're competing against are all bad. I'm sorry, but they're all these 8-6 AFC teams.
Winning.
They keep winning because they're playing other bad teams. Eventually, all these bad teams have to knock each other out. I mean, backup quarterbacks have a shelf life. It's 4 weeks usually. I can't imagine. Joe Flacco's been running around and making plays like he's 25 years old. This cannot last. Jake Browning, eventually someone's going to figure him out. It looked like Brian Flores had him figured out on Saturday. The Colts, I don't even know where to begin with this. That's a team that you said you can't figure out how they win. The Texans with my guy Case Keenum, they have injuries everywhere. The Bills are in great position because the rest of the AFC is falling apart.
Okay, they have to basically win out, though. I mean, not basically. Yeah, but they do have to win out.
They are going to win out.
And it's not like it's, no schedule is slam dunk. They would go to the Chargers on a short week, and then they have the Patriots at home, and then they go to Miami week 18. And it's going to be interesting because I think the best way that the Bills really have a shot to make the playoffs is just to win the AFC East. Now, you got to hope that Miami stubs their toe, whether that's going to be against Dallas, whether that's going to be against the Baltimore Ravens, but those are two much tougher teams to face than obviously what Buffalo has in the Chargers and the New England Patriots. So you're hoping, if you're a Bills fan, that Miami stubs the toe and then you could beat Miami in the final game and hopefully that gets you in.
I don't see it that way at all. For that scenario to play out, that means teams like the Bengals, Browns, Colts, and Texans all have to basically run the table.
Okay, you and I see the Bengals very, very differently, and that's just one of the teams we see differently. I see the Bengals, and I understand that this is a bizarre year for them because they're 8-6. We know there's no Burrow. We know Jamar Chase has been in and out of the lineup, but they are 0-4 against their own division. It is so weird, yet here they are right now with the 6th seed if the playoffs started today. And I think Jake Browning is the type of quarterback that you can actually make a deep playoff run with. And you and I see this very different. I think Cincinnati is the scariest of, if we're talking about the wild card teams, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Houston. If it was Indy, Cincy and...
Well, Buffalo. Are you counting?
No, I'm talking about if the playoffs ended today and the Browns. Thank you. I think that Cincinnati is the scariest team to face.
I think Cincinnati is not making the playoffs, and I don't think they're scary at all. I think the Buffalo Bills are by 50 miles the scariest wild card team.
But they're not technically in right now.
See, but they're going to be in. They're going to be in. If New York Times has this playoff predictor they're called the Upshot.
Yeah, and this is why people don't like the New York Times.
Well, the Bills are 71% and the Bengals are 35% to make the playoffs. It's just basic common sense. Look at the Bengals schedule and look at the Bills schedule. The Bengals have to go I know they go to Kansas City and they play the Browns. Someone's got to lose these games, Maggie. The Bills are in fine shape. As long as they beat Miami in Week 18, get business done, they're going to be in the playoffs either way, and they're going to be super dangerous.
They will be dangerous.
You have to get comfortable with that.
If they will be dangerous if they get in, but I do want to give a lot of props to these teams that have lost their quarterbacks and still continue to win.
They're beating bad teams.
Okay, but they're winning, and so who cares?
Because
you're not going for style points when you're there with a backup quarterback.
Yes, but if you can beat Minnesota with Nick Mullins, that does not indicate that you're going to go into KC and beat Patrick Mahomes.
Bailey Zappi, if he had not thrown that terrible interception that he threw, what was that, in the third quarter? I mean, it was just terrible. But they let New England hang around much longer than they should have yesterday.
Yeah, because our receivers are handing the ball off to the defense on a consistent basis.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not like if you're talking about the Bengals going to the Steelers, where Mike Tomlin is on the hot seat, maybe for the first time in his entire Steelers career, and that's real.
Because you're saying that, and EJ said that. I do not think Mike Tomlin's on the hot seat. I do not endorse that take at all.
You know who else is saying it? Peter King.
I
Ever heard of him?
I don't care.
Football Morning in America.
You're telling me the Roonies are going to fire Mike Tomlin?
I'm just saying
Get
the seat
outta
is
here.
hot, and the Steelers don't look like they want to play for Mike Tomlin right now, at least on the offense. The defense, I don't want to talk about. The offense. Then they go to the Steelers. That's a winnable game. You go at Kansas City. You're telling me they have no shot?
I'm telling you, Cincinnati has 2 road games and then Cleveland in week 18.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, your Bills are going to play Easton Stick, and I don't even know the coach's name. Jiff something?
Giff Smith, I think is his name.
Yeah, come on.
Giff.
I will give you, and even if the Bengals somehow get through this really hard schedule and get to the playoffs, I'm sorry, they do not have Joe Burrow. They are not getting to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I'm telling you that right now, and if I'm dead wrong, cut that sound. There is no way Jake Browning is leading them to a Nick Foles-like Super Bowl run. It's just not happening, Maggie.
I'm telling you, Jamar Chase was a little bit banged up, but it looks like he's going to be okay. And you're telling me that T. Higgins touchdown to tie the game eventually got sent to overtime. You're telling me that wasn't a thing of beauty?
They beat the Vikings, who had won the week before 3-0.
Okay.
And they let Nick Mullins move the ball up and down the field. If Nick Mullins could take a snap there at the end, then the Vikings are going to win that game. That, to me, was not a sign of strength, what we saw on Saturday. That was a sign of weakness for this team. This team is average.
They won at Jacksonville. Then they beat the Colts. Then they beat the Vikings. Listen, you beat who's on your schedule. And we started this off talking about the Bills, so let's bring it full circle. If the Bills actually had taken care of business against teams that were worse than them and inferior, then they wouldn't be sitting here hoping and praying that things all break right for them or having to set up a must-win against Miami in Week 18. Meanwhile, here are the Bengals. I think they deserve props for, Burrow goes down, and look at what they're doing. Like, they're keeping it afloat and had to come back on Saturday and did it in impressive fashion.
I agree. I give them props, but if I'm looking at the AFC playoff picture, I'm dead afraid of the Buffalo Bills. I do not want to see them. They're going to beat somebody that has a better record. I am not afraid of the Cincinnati Bengals. You're right. They're super tough, and they probably can beat anybody. But you look at the Bills have so much momentum, and they're winning in an impressive fashion. They have Josh Allen. Where the Bengals are hanging on.
They showed you a little something yesterday, Buffalo did, in that they finally looked like a team that could win in cold weather. And I think the Dallas Cowboys had a lot to do with this because their defense basically olayed James Cook into a career day.
The Cowboys did not want to be in that building.
Didn't want to be in the building. I don't know if they didn't care or what, because they'd already clinched the playoff spot. I don't want to think that Dallas would phone in a game. But, man, it just did not seem like they had any interest really in tackling James Cook. And it was a positive sign for Buffalo in that they've never won a game like that as far as I remember, not in the Josh Allen era. Like, never.
They blow out everybody.
No, where they've relied on the run game. And where Josh Allen threw the ball 9 times. Like that, or 9 completions. Like, they just don't do that.
Got it.
And the fact that they were willing to just take what the Cowboys were giving them. Now, let's flip this to the Cowboys side of things. To me, the Cowboys are the team that needs to play at home.
Here we go!
If this didn't prove it to you, then nothing will. 7-0 at home, averaging 40 points per game. They're 3-4 on the road. They average 22 points. They have to at least try to knock off your Philadelphia Eagles and try to win the NFC East to get at least one home playoff game in Jerry World.
I think they win that first game anyway. It's going to be Tampa Bay or New Orleans if they're the 5-4.
Yep.
So, and then the problem is, I don't think it matters. You're going to either go to San Francisco in the second round or you're going to go to San Francisco in the conference title game. So, big picture, what's the difference?
Well, I would say for the Cowboys fans, they haven't gotten to the conference title game since the 90s. So let's get to the conference title game.
I don't think that's where this team's aspirations should be. This is a Super Bowl or bust team. If they make it to the conference title game and lose to San Francisco, you're still going to walk away just as disappointed. That's not a step to me at all.
Okay, but I would rather have to play the 49ers in the third game of the playoffs than the second game, because look at what happened against your Philadelphia Eagles last year in the NFC Championship game. They were losing bodies left and right.
So your strategy is to hope for San Francisco injuries?
Listen, yes. I mean,
I like
right
it.
now,
I'm not disagreeing.
Listen, let me knock on wood
compelling.
here. I do not want the 49ers to be hurt at all. I think they're so fun to watch. I mean, they are great. They are so head and shoulders, I think, above the rest of the NFC. No disrespect to your Eagles. I think they're just better. And they look like a Super Bowl champ, and like it's not even close. But if I'm talking about this from the Cowboys' perspective right now, you've got to get at least one home playoff game. Guys, it's a stark
who cares if they have one playoff game and they win that game? What difference does it make?
That's what I'm saying. But maybe they get 2 home games before they have to play the 49ers on the road.
I think that you're going to look at Mike McCarthy and you're going to look at Dak Prescott. It is Super Bowl or bust.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Now, Rich is in Chicago. He believes the Dallas fade has begun. Rich, that sounds ominous. How you doing, sir?
Good. I finally tracked you guys down in the morning.
Awesome.
First time I've gotten a hold of you guys.
Welcome aboard, man. Good to hear from you.
Yeah. Hey, look, you're onto something that I've been espousing for about 3 weeks, not on your show, but around the country.
Sure.
Being an football guy myself, the thing I was looking at data that might surprise you. This Dallas, you mentioned the 3-4 this year as a road team.
Yep.
How about this number? Because this isn't something new. In the last 4 years, and that's when Prescott was hot. The last 4 years, Dallas's road record when they leave Jerry's World is 15-13. They're a 500 team. They don't win on the road.
Yep.
They've got the worst road record for a dominant team in probably the last 20 years of any close to being a playoff team.
But wasn't it, Rich? Did they used to be the opposite, where they were really good on the road under Jason Garrett at the end?
Yes, and they're the point about the playoffs. They'll be lucky. And on top of that, and I mentioned this last week before they played your Bills. By the way, I picked the Bills to win big. Thank you very much, and they did. Dallas on the road. I don't think it had anything to do with clinching the playoff. It's their whole curse about playing outdoors on the road against a decent team.
Yeah.
They're 500 team in the last 4 years. That's a trend. That's not an aberration.
No, Rich, I think Dallas Cowboy fans are probably, listening to this and slowly nodding their head in approval. I mean, they understand. And again, that's why I think it's so important that they need these wins. And next week you're going to play a Miami team. Now, granted, you're going to play that Miami team who is capable of running the ball. I mean, the Bills gave the blueprint as if it wasn't already out there about how you beat this Dallas Cowboys team.
Well, on top of that, because I did touch on that, when they had 4 games left, I said they're going to have a very difficult time. The only cupcake are the Commanders.
Yep.
They've got to beat Miami in Miami. And how about this? Since Detroit kind of blew their momentum, came back obviously this week, that's going to be a very hungry Detroit team in the last game at home in Jerry's World. They may need to win out, given their record in the NFC North. They'll win the division, but if they want more than one home game, that game's going to mean a lot to the Lions. Dallas could dump the Miami game and the Detroit game. Now we run the numbers to see how far they go in the playoffs. They're going nowhere.
Rich, appreciate you weighing in, and thank you so much. The Lions look inspired. I mean, they were down in the dumps.
Oh,
it was Jared Goff had turned the ball over 8 times in 4 games, and then they saw this Denver team coming who also had a bit of momentum, and they took them to school.
They do. They looked inspired this weekend, but they're just like the Cowboys. I'm not buying into this Lions. I did buy it earlier in the season. Now, listen, do you think they have any chance of winning in San Francisco?
I'll
tell you right now, Jared Goff on grass outside. Yeah, they're another good team like the Cowboys who has a limited window.
George is our pal in Los Angeles. Good morning, George. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Maggie and Perloff. And Perloff, the Rams are moving up, my friend.
Oh, they're terrifying, George.
I would love to see the Rams go to Detroit. Can you imagine Stafford goes back home?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh,
that would be very cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And you know what?
That could happen.
I don't think the Rams win that game, though, George. I'm sorry. I love the Rams. I think it's a cool story. I love Cooper Kupp healthy with another 100-yard receiving game. What is that? Back-to-back 100-yard receiving games for Kupp. For some reason, I think Detroit would win that game, though. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, do you realize that the Rams, since they're either 4-1, Stafford has thrown 12 touchdown passes, 1 interception. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Nobody's talking about him.
They're good. They've done a lot. We're actually going to talk a little bit about our Coach of the Year candidates. We're going to do that coming up. And spoiler, Sean McVay is on that list.
By the way, I can...
George, thank you so much, sir. Great to hear from you.
Put my Eagles fan hat on. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, the last 3 people I want to see in the playoffs. Forget it. Give me a young team. Give me anybody else but that team.
So if the Rams have to go to Detroit, you think the Rams are winning that game?
That's a different matchup. I kind of like Detroit in that game, but I'm telling you, the Rams are very dangerous. They're designed to beat the Eagles. Like, that'd be a really hard cover for the Eagles defense.
Hung is in Harrisburg. Good morning, Hung. How are you?
Good morning. George stole my spot. I want to talk about the Ram, too.
Okay.
If the Ram can beat the Buffalo last week, I think the Ram is legit because they can beat any team, even the 49ers. If you go back to the last week, again, the Ram had the lead in the fourth quarter. And the Ram, it looked exactly the Super Bowl team 2 years ago, minus Odell, but now they got Puka. It's better than Odell. So you don't want a Ram play playoff because if the Ram may play off, they can run the table. They can beat any team, even the 49ers.
You know, Hung,
looking very good team right now.
They're good. They're well coached, obviously. Hung, thank you for the phone call. Good to hear from you. So Saints next week for the Rams. That's at home. Then they're at the New York Giants, then finish out the year at the 49ers. Now, who knows if the 49ers are going to – they could probably rest everybody. Maybe not.
Well, I think a lot depends on if the Eagles win tonight against Seattle, then the Niners probably have to play out the season. That's compelling points. It is what's different about the Super Bowl team? It's a little older. Matthew Stafford is definitely more injury prone, but there are the bones there of a great team.
Well, we thought the offensive line was different. Remember,
That's
Whitworth retiring and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they have done well, and they're running the ball well. Kyron Williams had a good game, even though he had 2 fumbles in the game, and he still put up a lot of yards.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard to the Commanders have obviously given up on the season, so it's hard to determine that, but it's just healthy Cooper Kupp is scary.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we get back to college football as well. There was a lot of news over the weekend. Don't move. It's Maggie, it's Perloff, it's you, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. All right, we do a lot of show bets. I am refusing to pay our most recent show bet.
What are you talking about?
I understand on a technicality I lost. I'll explain the bet.
Yeah. First, tell us what it is, because I can't keep track of all of our bets.
So we did our picks last Friday. At the end, you said, I want to throw in another one.
Oh, yes. Our side bet.
You wanted to make a side bet about whether the Chiefs would stick with wide receiver Kadarius Toney after his ill-fated offsides cost him the game the week before. And you said that they would throw to him and he'd have more than 1.5 catches, which was the Vegas over-under. So technically, you won the bet.
Yes.
But in reality, in the spirit of the bet, you did not win the bet. He had 2 catches for 5 yards.
Wait a minute.
And he had a drop.
A winner.
They threw the ball, a perfect pass, Mahomes, as usual, maybe a touch behind, that he bobbled straight into the hands of the defense, again, costing the team. So generally, understand technically you won this bet, but in spirit, if they have not given up on Kadarius Toney yet, they will now. I mean, they cannot keep putting this guy out there.
No, see, that's why I made this bet, is because you thought they were going to give up on him after he blew the Bills game
they
for them.
They did. He got 2 catches for 5 yards. That is not exactly Marvin Harrison. I mean, he's not exactly a part of the offense.
He's not Marvin Harrison.
Okay, here's the thing. Yeah, no kidding. But here's the thing. He had 2 catches, but he had 4 targets.
4 targets.
That's as many as Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the passing game. That's more than Justin Watson. It's more than Noah Gray. It was more than
Noah Gray.
More than Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I'm just going down here. He had basically he had the third most targets tied for the third most targets on the team behind Rashee Rice and Kelsey. Of course it counts. The spirit of the bet is even bigger because he actually had 4 targets. He only just had 2 catches.
Look, the last time somebody didn't want to pay off a bet, I was wearing a Patriots jersey. Perloff, you're paying this bet.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
Actually,
did I sound like this when I didn't want to pay off the bet?
Yes, it was just as corny as it sounds right now.
Oh, man.
Tony had a nice 20-yard catch, but it was such an obvious pick by Rashee Rice. They took it back. They called the offensive pass interference. So you're right. He was still out there, but I think
they can't quit
him. Can we reset the bet? Like, they can't keep going to him after that interception in the fourth quarter, which, by the way, was the second interception that was basically in the hands of a Chiefs receiver. This story, one of the big storylines to me this year is that the Chiefs receiving corps is ruining Patrick Mahomes' life. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, to get up there after that game and be diplomatic, he is throwing to scrubs, Maggie, including Kadarius Toney.
Well, it looked like he was going to cry again on the sidelines. Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't.
There wasn't something as obvious like going after the officials or whatever, but he did look like he was going to cry. This one is interesting from Donald Jones, who's in our chat, which is youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio and twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. We love both of you equally. Donald Jones says, am I the only one tired of seeing Taylor Swift and Aaron Rodgers every Sunday on TV? I wish they would just both go away. You had Taylor Swift in Foxborough yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, there were not that many shots of her. I saw a few, but not as many as Rodgers. Rodgers got more camera time to me.
Rodgers got a ton because he was mugging for the camera, like just rolling his eyes and, like it seemed like when the play call came in, he was like disagreeing with it with his face.
I think he's a bum.
Yeah.
I should know this because I work in sports. Was that Romo and Nance on the Jets-Dolphins game?
Yes.
What a waste of Romo and Nance. I can't believe that. How did they let that Bills-Cowboys game slip away from them? I know it was
Burkhardt and
yeah, I mean, I was watching that game. I'm like, is that Jim Nance having to call this awful Dolphins-Jets game?
This is a little insidery, but we love broadcasters around here. How about Ian Eagle and Charles Davis on a 49er game? I'm like, this is cool. I love it.
That was fire.
Because
they
never get NFC games usually.
Yeah, I mean, Niners Cardinals, is that even a game?
I'm just saying. It was cool, little announcer roulette.
I'm so going over to EJ's camp. I can't believe it. The NFL is
welcome to the dark side, my friend.
Mediocre this year. The mediocrity.
How dare you? The fact that the NFL is mediocre is the only reason that my team has a shot at getting in the playoffs. Marco Balletti is here. He's got headlines for us. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Well, Week 15 in the NFL does end tonight in Seattle. You got the Seahawks hosting the Eagles. Seattle fighting for their playoff lives. Eagles looking to end that 2-game skid and stay alive for a 1 seed in the NFC and, of course, home field in the playoffs.
Focusing on the now, and being in the present and embracing the opportunities we have. This is a special team. This is a special team. And we have a special opportunity in front of us to do something with the time we have together. So let's take advantage of it.
All right, Jalen Hurts, who was downgraded to questionable for this one with an illness.
Yeah, it's weird when illnesses go this way. Usually illnesses we're so used to them getting better and better and better. He's getting worse.
What is the illness? Can someone...
no.
Is it COVID? Is it the flu? Is it just something...
He traveled with the team.
He traveled separately.
Oh, it was separately.
I travel separately, yes.
So it's something communicable.
Definitely. I was wondering if it's a flu. You got to get your flu shots there, Jalen. Come on.
Yeah, there's also that RSV that went around. I could put my hand up. I had that it took forever to get rid of.
Really?
So I don't know if that's something that he's dealing with or who knows. Well, everything seems like it's up in the air and downgraded to questionable doesn't sound good.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind to have Jalen Hurts get a little rest. His knee has not been great.
Mm-hmm.
So, they did this last year. They kind of kept him out, but it's not ideal. The Eagles have a bunch of problems. Marcus Mariota could beat the Seahawks, though. I'm going to just say that right now. He could. Gives him a puncher's chance.
And we got to see if Geno Smith's playing, too. Because that we don't know until tonight when Drew Lock or Geno Smith, game time decision for Smith with the groin.
Wow, lucky us.
Mariota and
EJ
Drew Lock.
gets another victory for the mediocre NFL season. If it's Mariota versus Drew Lock.
All right. Now, keep in mind the Eagles, too, have allowed...
They called me a madman.
Maybe the NFL should go to an in-season tournament when their quarterbacks are actually healthy in weeks 3 through 5.
An in-season tournament in the NFL would be fire.
Everyone's brain would be banana mush, but sure.
That is true. I don't want that.
I think they already have enough games.
Eagle defense hasn't exactly been great. Allowed 42 points and 33 in the back-to-back losses to the Niners and the Cowboys. And now, reportedly, defense coordinator Sean Desai stripped of play-calling duties. They're going to put him up in the coach's box. That's really a demotion.
They put him in the parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's not good. You know what? Don't stand here. Go up there. I don't want to see you.
It's weird. It's like he's the only one on the Jalen Hurts plane. It's like, wait a minute. I'm healthy.
How'd that work out?
Like, no. Go on the COVID plane.
So now the pencil comes back. Matt Patricia is now on the sidelines, reportedly going to call the plays tonight. Eagles still 10-3, still in first place, still have a chance to get the 1 seed, but back-to-back losses. Perloff, you're the Eagles fan?
Yeah, well,
Panic move?
No, not at all. Sean Desai's called the worst games possible on defense. What I don't appreciate is my co-host, Maggie Gray.
Why?
Because when we were talking about it, I said, Matt Patricia's taking over the play calling, open laughter. As if I had just told a joke. You go, pah, Matt Patricia.
Well, I mean, better off that he's doing the defensive play calling than the offensive play calling.
It's his forte.
Yeah, I get that. I just think this is what happened with the Eagles. Last year, you faced no quarterbacks, and you went all the way to the Super Bowl. And this year, you're facing every good quarterback. And you want to know what? That's different for a defense. So welcome to the rest of the world and what everyone else has to deal with.
Well, listen, they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson, huge loss. James Bradbury and Darius Slay got a year older, and they lost Javon Hargrave. You can't lose all pros. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Well, they could have paid them, but they paid Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, they kind of celebrated getting Gardner-Johnson out of there.
Yeah, we miss him so bad.
Yeah.
Oh man, you can't. The main problem is they can't cover anybody in the slot or anywhere near the middle of the
We've
field.
noticed.
They're about 2 players short. So they traded for Kevin Byard. Turns out the Titans knew it was time to get rid of Kevin Byard. It's there's so many problems here, but I feel like a lot of good teams have the same defensive problems. Nobody has a secondary.
You're talking about it's like, and the Eagles have these problems, but I think Mariota could beat the Seahawks.
But the Seahawks are really
Well, Jamal Adams
really
plays
falling
defense
apart.
for the Seahawks.
I
wouldn't
mean, yes.
put anything past them.
Listen, if you see Jamal Adams in coverage and you don't throw to him, then you should fire the offensive coordinator. He's that guy. And don't come after me on Twitter, Jamal Adams, but that guy cannot cover anybody.
He only saves his ire for the Jets reporters' wives.
Well, I will say, I wonder if Nick Sirianni was kind of foreshadowing this move a little bit, because this got out earlier in the week.
We're pissed off that we haven't played and coached to our standard. And that's what you get when you have a bunch of competitive, highly competitive people at the top of their field of their profession.
Again, just the coaching part of it. It seems weird to me that we didn't know about this until yesterday.
Well,
It's just funky.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sirianni, I don't know if this is more than most or whatever, but it seems like a guy who really relies on his coordinators. Not that all head coaches don't. The coordinators are important, but Sirianni, I mean, especially last year, between Steichen and Gannon, who was less popular, but Steichen was super popular. I mean, he basically let them take over and do whatever they wanted, right?
The big change happened with the Eagles when Sirianni gave over play calling duties to Shane Steichen.
Yeah,
and
right.
now Shane Steichen's a Coach of the Year candidate. Yeah, that all makes sense. Gannon was not well liked because he has a very bend, don't break kind of defense. Philly people remember Buddy Ryan, and they want to just chase after the quarterback.
Or even the great Jim Johnson.
And Jim Johnson, who's amazing. I think I have an Eagles text thread, and everyone said, finally, there's going to be a defensive coordinator who unleashes Jalen Carter on the world. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know how you unleash a defensive tackle, but I do feel like Jalen Carter is a monster. I just hope he has energy right now.
Was he in coverage a lot this year? I feel like that's not...
No, but I can't believe how talented he is. He's like Aaron Donald. He can take over a game, I hope. There seems to be more to do with this defense. There's stars on the defensive line. Why aren't they getting to the quarterback anymore? It does seem like a mystery.
It's a little weird, though, Patricia being more of a 3-4 guy under the Belichick tree, that he's not going to be coaching a wide 9 kind of defense. It seems a little odd.
Probably. But nowadays, don't all the 3-4s and the 4-3s mingle?
That is true.
Yeah, everything's a hybrid.
Yeah.
I mean, who's in nickel 90% of the time anyway? I mean...
Well, now
it's
it's
a little different.
Now it's all this. Everybody, the safeties move back, and you're going to have to chip down the field. I mean, we're getting 2 X's and O's here.
Well,
I mean, Jalen Hurts is throwing up on a private plane somewhere. We need that dude to play.
I get this man an IV. RPC, I think, put this very well in the chat. Sirianni is a bag. Back to you, Marco.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah, people hate Sirianni.
All right, a couple other notes. You guys talked about Kadarius Toney with the Chiefs. We know about the drop, and it led to the interception. It also led to this. Patrick Mahomes afterwards was visibly upset on the sidelines.
Yes.
I mean, more than we've seen usually. This was Darryl Johnston, who was calling the game for Fox.
You know, he's not going to trust him anymore. It's coming down to a critical situation, and that's where the ball has to go because he's open. But I don't trust him. I'm losing trust.
Now, I don't want to reopen the bet, but then Andy Reid afterwards asked about that trust.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. I'm not down on Tony. He does some good things, man. So we just got to keep. He's a young guy, Adam. So we're not talking about somebody that has been in this league a long time.
Here's the one problem, though.
Yeah, make excuses.
Who else is left?
Yeah, I know.
That's the issue.
They can't bench him.
I mean, they could. They could stop him from going out into the field much. They could use him as a decoy and just send him long and not give him the ball. But you have to dress him because you don't have any more receivers.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and I think at a key moment, he could be a very dangerous punt returner. Remember the Super Bowl?
Right.
So he definitely has some value. I don't know how. You just don't want him running. Exactly. You don't want him running routes.
Yeah.
Listen, I still think the Chiefs, we're going to hear from the Chiefs again.
I agree.
But again, they let the Patriots hang around in that game, and the Patriots are not good.
Something deeply broken about the Chiefs. I mean, it's no mystery. It's Justin Watson dropping a ball. It's first of all, Kelsey, I hate to say it, there's some rumors out there that he got old all of a sudden. And last night against the Patriots, there were a couple plays that he didn't make. I don't know. I agree. I'm worried about them. That being said, Maggie, I mean, Bills say they do get to the playoffs and make the championship game. You're not nervous about Patrick Mahomes?
Always. Everyone should be.
Chiefs got arrogant not going after a wide receiver
big time
of more credentials in the offseason. Like they said, we got Kelsey, we got Mahomes, we'll be fine. And it's starting to pay off in a negative way for them.
They could have afforded DeAndre Hopkins. They could have done I mean, listen, they would have had to kick the salary cap can down the road, but they should have. I agree, EJ. They were overconfident after last year. I mean, they won the Super Bowl.
Without Tyreek Hill. I think there was an underreported story too about Patrick Mahomes redoing his contract again. And it was very team friendly, and it's still team friendly, but it's not the uber team friendly. He got a bump after the Super Bowl, and it changed things a little bit. Not saying they couldn't have afforded DeAndre Hopkins, but that story went really underreported.
Well, it's also they had to sort of cheap out on the offensive line too. So they brought in Jawan Taylor, the penalty machine,
and they didn't pay
Donovan
Chris
Smith.
Jones. I mean, this is interesting.
I mean, you know what? If the Patriots did it and won 6 Super Bowls, we'd say it's brilliant cap management. It's still, they're not out of it yet. So we'll see how this works.
Maybe they'll bloom off the rose a little bit on that whole Tommy DeVito story for the Giants.
Tommy Cutlets got sauteed yesterday.
They never saw the end zone in that lopsided loss. Now, we know the story of the local kid that still his parents are yada, yada, Cutlets. We know all that. There was a story that came out on Twitter from Darren Ravel. Now, DeVito and more importantly his agent, Sean Stellato, who we saw yesterday.
The Italian stallion?
Yeah, looking like the Italian leprechaun with the green.
Like Robin Hood.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that with the sneakers with it too. But hey, who am I to do fashion? All right, so apparently now Stellato jacked up the price on an autograph signing at a local restaurant in New Jersey after the Monday night win over the Packers. Now, supposedly he changed the fee for DeVito from $10,000 to $20,000. The appearance fee. The appearance fee. Now, the restaurant itself, Caniglio's Pizzeria and Bakery. I don't know how you're a pizzeria and a bakery, but sounds interesting.
I'm in.
They say they're no longer going to have DeVito at the restaurant on Tuesday, which will be tomorrow, because small business can't afford the jacked up price. Now, Stellato came out, said nothing was agreed upon. They didn't change the price. We didn't have an agreement yet. Problem is there's a text chain that came out. Now, Caniglio's put out the tentative agreement. Now, this is tentative, but this is the quote that they had on the text. Okay, please modify the agreement. I think the 30 minutes over is something that they're going to have to run by Tommy. A 60-40 split might work. Good on the 2 hours, $10K, $250. Unquote. Now, the $250 is 250 autographs.
Okay, I was going to say.
Right. The 2 hours and the $10K. The restaurant owner is now claiming that he couldn't be reached after this. And then after Monday night's win, came back and said $20,000, and they've declined. So I will say this: I don't know, who knows, right, with this whole thing. But if there's one way to piss off a fan base that loves the local kid, is go after a small local business and jack up prices for autograph signing. So not only on the field for Tommy Cutlets, but the off the field stuff is really going to take a hit if this is legit.
Well, the other part is, you don't get sacked 7 times and then pull this BS. Like, you score 6 points on the road against the Saints, and you snap the 3-game the winning streak, and now to pull it. I got to be honest, though. This feels like a move out of, like, the Tony Soprano playbook.
That's why I don't like it. You can't like small businesses being stiffed, but it does kind of fit the narrative.
I'm not saying that the agent is a mobster. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they play the Sopranos music when he comes out. Everyone kind of loves that. And so this is a shakedown is what they call it. Marco, was that mean? Should I have not gone there?
No, it's fine. I mean, hey, they're playing into it. I mean, you saw Tom DeVito Sr. with the sweatshirt that he had on yesterday in New Orleans.
What did it say?
It didn't say anything. It just has the DeVito, whatever this is called.
Yeah, the passing paisan.
Yeah. That was just the front, and red, white, and green for the Italian flag.
No, it's
that's what he's
time.
wearing. Yeah, no. They're and again, you do what you got to do, but the problem is when you jack up the price after the win on Monday night, Now you get destroyed in New Orleans. Does the price come down? Do they go back?
Yeah, right.
Who knows if this has got any kind of legs? But it sounds like the local business is not going to let this go.
No, and they shouldn't. And this is the bummer, though, because I bet DeVito doesn't know anything about this.
He probably didn't even know he was going.
He might not even know he's going. I don't think he's the one who's like, what's the name of the pizzeria again?
Caniglio's.
He's not like, those Caniglios, like, let's see if we can jack up the price. So he's going to take the shrapnel when it has probably nothing to do with him. And that's a shame. But also, control your people. They work for you.
And I get it. I'm sure. I mean, look, he's not making a lot of money, obviously, this year.
$700,000.
He's an undrafted free agent. Now, he's also not paying rent, apparently, because he lives at home.
Yeah.
But, so maybe he doesn't need the extra 10 grand, but maybe you should talk to your agent and say.
Everyone needs the extra 10 grand.
Well, at some point, you got to talk to your agent and be like, look, this stuff can't.
Right. You're making it look bad.
This stuff can't get out.
And forget all this. Is he playing next week against the Eagles?
They said that he's playing. So
he's starting?
Tyrod Taylor came in yesterday, but they did say, Dayball said he's going the rest of the way. Meanwhile, it looked like he got a massive concussion yesterday, and they let him play again.
Checked out. He did go into the tent. He did go in the locker room. It was right before the half. He came back. They said he passed all concussion protocol, and Dayball said after the game, he's healthy, he's good, and he's going to play.
It makes me want to go to this pizzeria / bakery and just support the local business. If Cutlets is going to,
Yeah, and I love all that stuff. I've never been to a pizzeria / bakery.
I want to go to one.
I'm curious now. I don't know about anybody else.
Great,
right?
Competing smells.
Look, in the hood, we got pizzeria / Chinese food, pizzeria / Jamaican food.
I've been to that.
I've seen it all.
I've been to a pizzeria / Chinese restaurant. I've done that where you get one half and the other, and everybody's giving you a dirty look. But I've never been to a pizzeria that's a bakery.
I've been to the other side too, where it's like a Chinese buffet, and somehow they have pizza on it as well. It's like this can work both directions here. What did we learn?
Don't stiff small businesses.
There we go. And that's the important thing. Marco, thank you very much for bringing that incredibly important story to our attention.
Yeah. That's weird that the Tommy DeVito story already fell apart. It's almost like backup quarterbacks are good for 2 weeks and disappear.
No, but the thing about
again
DeVito,
and again and again.
No, but see, the
There's
thing
no
about
other thing
DeVito is that he could, if he played his cards right here, he's like a legend in the New York area. You could probably make a good living off of that, maybe for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but the thing about DeVito was it's inevitable that he's going to get crushed when he faces some good teams.
Well, he did get crushed yesterday, and the Saints aren't even good.
Yeah, I totally understand. But I do feel like all of America loves when a backup quarterback wins a game, including me.
Yep.
But you have to realize it doesn't last. It never lasts. So I like the DeVito. He had to go in and get that money now because that ain't going to be there in a year.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Want to let you know, coming up in the next hour, we're going to start our countdown of the top 5 best moments from the Maggie and Perloff Show in the year 2023. So that's going to be next hour. Coming up, the one team. Oh, we've got our bowl preview. Nice. College football bowl season, guys. It's here. More NFL as well. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Today's Monday Night Football preview is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Philadelphia Eagles on the road to face the Seattle Seahawks. Eagles are a 3-point favorite in this game, but the status of Jalen Hurts is still up in the air. He had to take a private plane, fly away from the rest of the team because he's dealing with an undisclosed illness.
A lot of miscommunications in my world over the weekend. I kept saying Jalen Hurts is sick, and everyone's like, yeah, he's awesome. He is totally a sick player. No, he's sick. Here's the one thing I've been monitoring all morning.
Dad joke. Wow.
Yeah.
You got to alert us before those things, before you just drop one of those on the show.
Geno Smith, according to Rap Sheet this morning, Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, uphill battle to play tonight because of groin injury.
Oh, boy.
That'd be nice. I mean, Drew Lock's actually a pretty good backup. I think Drew Lock could beat the Eagles. I think Marcus Mariota could beat the Seahawks. I got to be honest, though, and I'm an Eagles fan. This is really shaping up to be a mediocre football game and a season of mediocre football games. You've convinced me it's EJ's fault, who's made me see that I'm on the dark side. I mean, if it's a Mariota-Drew Lock battle in prime time, that is a disappointment.
Here's the thing. Can I say something about the EJ/Tom Brady NFL is mediocre take?
Yes.
Two goats. Yes.
Yeah, two goats. Yes, you, Brady, same. A little convenient to say it this year when we've got 15 backup quarterbacks.
I've been saying this for 3 years.
Okay.
Can't say that about me.
You've been saying it, but of course this year things look bad. We're down to third string quarterbacks on a lot of these teams, but that's not always the case.
Oh,
okay. It was last year and it was this year. but it's not every year of our lives that we've seen all these backup quarterbacks in playoff races. Like, this is unique, guys.
But isn't it funny now that the Buffalo Bills are hot and look like they're making the playoffs and Maggie's back on board with the 2023 season? Ask her 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, you'd be like, yeah, this is, we're going to write off this season.
Like every
tax
week,
deduction.
we come into a meeting and me and Perloff would say, I don't think the Bills are done yet. You're like, nope, done. The season's over. Don't talk to me about the Bills anymore. And yet here we are, Bills still
Here's the thing. Are you guys not entertained, though? Because you can say it's mediocre, but I tell you what, I'm riveted by the end of that Browns-Bears game. I'm riveted to see what's going to happen at the end of the Titans game.
I shouldn't have to sit through 58 minutes of garbage to then see a great play at the end or a dropped Hail Mary. Say, oh, okay, that was fun.
But
I
even the
great 58 minutes of garbage.
That's why you have the quad box and also a laptop. I'm watching 6 games at once.
But
it's
isn't
amazing.
it even a great play to see Joe Flacco fling it into the air and pray for something and then watch a bunch of Bears defenders trip on each other? This was not high-level football.
Spin move out of a tackle yesterday, and my jaw fell on the floor.
The amount of, and it's not just quarterbacks. The Browns are playing like their third-string unit against a Bears team that is desperately, I think they're back on the tank mode. I think they're looking at next year.
All right, well, let's go to what you guys think is mediocre NFL quarterback to tonight's bowl game. Here's EJ.
Okay, so today features a matchup that may inspire intrigue on the hardwood for two bracket busters, but don't sleep on these football teams. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers take on the Old Dominion Monarchs in the famous Toastery Bowl at Jerry Richardson Stadium in Charlotte, where there will be probably more people in attendance than yesterday's snooze fest between the Panthers and the Falcons. The Monarchs overcame a 3-game losing streak in October to win their final 2 games of the season to make it to 6-6. In their final game of the season, ODU came back from a 21-0 deficit and scored a touchdown with time expired to beat Georgia State and become bowl eligible. Meanwhile, Western Kentucky, there are question marks at quarterback. Austin Reed threw for 31 touchdowns this year and was one of the best Group of 5 quarterbacks in the country, but he is not expected to play today because he is opting out. But they will have star wide receiver Malachi Corley, who caught 11 touchdowns for the second time in a row this season. He led all of Conference USA in touchdowns. He's been mocked as high as the second round of this year's NFL draft. Now, he told the Bowling Green Daily News, quote, "My brother and my trainer don't want me to play in this game. I feel like scouts, the people that are in charge of the bowls, they also feel like I don't play in this game as well. They feel like I have nothing to prove. But for myself, I feel like I have everything to prove. That's the chip I carry for myself every single day. I feel like I have everything to prove to everybody." So, Malachi Corley, my kind of guy, star wide receiver. This is a kickoff at 2:30 in Charlotte. Look out for those Hilltoppers.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm canceling all my plans. Do you know Malachi Corley's playing tonight, Maggie?
I didn't know until now.
He could be your next Eagles or Bills wide receiver drafted in the second round next year.
So here's the 2 things I took away from that. One, there's actually a stadium called Jerry Richardson Stadium. I thought we kind of removed him from everything.
College football, you have to do way worse than Jerry Richardson to
Okay,
get
so
out
you can't
of that
just ask
sport.
a woman if I can shave your legs. That doesn't get your name removed from the stadium, or what the other creepy things that Jerry Richardson did.
I, too, was shocked by this. But, yes, indeed, this is where apparently UNC Charlotte plays.
Nicole Richardson Field at Jerry Richardson Stadium.
Lucky them. Also, I'm just on the website for Famous Toastery. I will take the house-made crab salad over a bed of lettuce on 2 toasted New England rolls.
That's a rest. Ooh, that sounds delicious.
All day lunch.
By the way.
And all day breakfast.
3 Old Dominion players from the NBA, Kent Bazemore, Mark West, center for the Suns, and Kenny Gattison.
Great women's program. They
Back in the
90s,
day.
And, they were one of the best women's programs again. 2 teams, college basketball, pretty good. College football. Give them a watch today. Let's see what they do.
Wait, I thought Taylor Heineke, isn't he Old Dominion? ODU?
Could be. What's it?
Long, proud history.
And is Bailey Zappi Western Kentucky?
855-212-4CBS. We do the hurry up offense next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Okay, now things are getting interesting in the NFL. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You got a couple teams clinching playoff spots yesterday. Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles, they play tonight against the Seahawks. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys clinched yesterday, Perloff, but it was odd because you clinch and then you get blown out by Buffalo and you further not just a narrative, a trend of not being nearly as competitive when you're on the road than you are at home. It feels like something about the Cowboys that is going to matter come this postseason.
Yeah, I actually think it won't matter because it doesn't matter if they're home or they're away. They have a San Francisco problem. They lost 42-10 to the Niners, and they're just sitting there in the NFC playoffs. I think people have this tendency to get too high or too low on the Dallas Cowboys. They get too high or too low on Dak Prescott. Every win feels like a mini Super Bowl, and every loss feels like a disaster. But the truth is the Cowboys are an incredibly consistent team. They were 12-5 2 years ago, lost a close game to San Francisco. 12-5 last year, lost a close game to San Francisco. They're headed towards 12-5 or maybe 13-4. And then they have San Francisco. So really, there's no mystery. Everyone treats them like they're up and down. But is this the same Mike McCarthy Cowboys we've seen for the last couple of years? Is anything different now? Is anything different headed into the playoffs?
Well, I would say this is different, which is a clear deficiency on defense that the Bills and others have given you the blueprint of how to beat this team, which is you run on this team. And it's going to be a problem because San Francisco can be a great running team. Kyle Shanahan schemes up more running plays than anyone, and they have the weapons to do it. I mean, Buffalo, listen, James Cook is a great player. He was a second-round pick, Georgia, like all the pedigree, all of that. The brother plays in the NFL, but he's never had a game like that before. And the Bills' commitment to him and running the ball, his backup was able to run very well. It's just like, if you want, hey, here's how you beat the Dallas Cowboys. This is it on a silver platter. And I got to be honest, next week the Cowboys play the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to try to do the same thing.
Oh, yeah. And the Eagles ran all over them in the game in the link. They got behind and couldn't do anything against them in the road game. There's a couple ways to beat Dallas, too. And you're starting to see it. I mean, you could be a 5-year-old and understand that CeeDee Lamb is the only offensive weapon you have to worry about. If you shut down CeeDee Lamb, what are the Cowboys going to do to you offensively? So I think there's a lot of adjustments to be made. And, this game yesterday against the Bills, didn't it remind you a lot of the Niners game?
Because
once things start getting downhill on the Cowboys, they just get out of control.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to me that there's such a bad come-from-behind team. In fact, it's like a non-existent come-from-behind
Right, because they need Micah Parsons in a pass-rush mode.
I'm talking about on the offensive side.
They couldn't. If you run on them, they never got the ball back. Dak barely had the ball in his hands.
He did. The Bills had sustained drives. You're right about that. But it just feels like you can make them so one-dimensional when you're up 2 scores. And like in this day and age in the NFL, being up 2 scores is like nothing. This is like being up to 15 points in the NBA. Like you see teams come back from 2 scores all the time. And for some reason, the Cowboys just really can't do it.
I don't think the Niners can. How is Brock Purdy and the Niners are built the same exact way. They want to run down your throat and they want to pass rush. And you need to be ahead to do those 2 things. If you could take out the Niners with a run game, I'm sure you could do the same thing.
Well, this is what I was surprised about. I was surprised yesterday from Dallas, and maybe this was them just waving the white flag on the game, bad conditions, playing the Bills, whatever. Again, I said they've already clinched a playoff spot, but they didn't even try anything different. There was no second half adjustment. There was no trying to take, James Cook out of it. There was no sending extra pressure. There was just nothing. They just let it happen. It was almost just... once it started really raining in the second half, they basically said, no, thanks.
Yeah, it happens. No, Dan Quinn is a good defensive coordinator, but, I guess you could run on this team. They're the same team. They're just the same team as last year. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling you out because your pick is wrong or right, because my Super Bowl picks were terrible. But why did you think the Cowboys were going to be different this year? Because you picked them in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Still a great chance. Listen, they're top 5 team in the league by far.
So here's what I went into me picking the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC and to win it over Jacksonville, which is also not looking like a great pick. But here's why. I didn't know the status of Purdy's elbow, which has been not a problem this year. So that was from the San Francisco side. And from the Eagles side, I just think it's very rare for the team that loses the Super Bowl to go back the next year. And then you had Kellen Moore out, Mike McCarthy in, going to run this Texas Coast offense. Is going to be, they said, more reliant on the ground game. That never happened. But that was my reasoning.
Yeah, and by the way, all that could happen. Mean, listen, they're 10-4, and they have defensive player of the year candidate, 2 of them, in DaRon Bland and Micah Parsons. That's the other thing, too. DaRon Bland's a great player when they're ahead and he can jump routes.
Right.
But I just wonder, they feel a little top-heavy to me, the sense that if you're coaching against them, you kind of know where they're going to hit you. So that's a great point. They didn't adjust at all yesterday.
Coming up in just about 15 minutes or so, we are going to begin our countdown of the top 5 best moments from the Maggie and Perloff Show from 2023. We're going to be doing that every day around 20 after the hour in the final hour of the show. But for now, let's get to what we call the hurry up offense. What we do here is 30 seconds on every game from, the weekend, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we're going to include the Saturday game today as well.
Sure thing. Okay, EJ sets them up. Perloff and I knock them down.
Okay, so let's begin with Saturday in that game that Perloff was not all entertained by. We had the Bengals beating the Vikings 27-24. It was a game-winning field goal from Evan McPherson that sealed it in OT.
How about this? Bad job out of me. I was at Sesame Street the musical. Whoops. Forgot there was Saturday game starting this week, but I watched the entire replay, and I love this Cincinnati Bengals team. The come from behind, Browning with the 3 fourth quarter touchdowns, awesome. The game-winning drive in overtime, the T. Higgins touchdown catch of the year, Perloff.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side, this is very disappointing because the Vikings had a great chance to make the playoffs, and this hurt them. I think they found something in Nick Mullins. And basically, they're going to rotate backup quarterbacks for 3-week stretches until the defense figures them out. Yeah. So 3 weeks of Dobbs, 3 weeks of Mullins, and then go to Jaron Hall for the playoffs.
Is that our new buzzer today? Is Jingle Bells?
I mean, there was a complaint about the air horn, a complaint about the last bell, so we're just changing them every week. And it's the last show before the holidays, so
not the last show.
Add some Jingle Bells. Well, last hurry up offense before the holidays. Anyway, so let's go to the next Saturday game. We had the Colts beating the Steelers 30-13. Mike Tomlin left the game saying the Steelers are fundamentally not a good football team.
Gardner Minshew, I think he's good. I'm just going to say it right now. I know he gets his receivers killed, and I know he's short. I think Gardner Minshew's a good NFL quarterback, and I think he's going to start many more games in his career. I don't think it's over. I don't think he's a backup flash in the pan. He's pretty good, Maggie.
Yes.
That's not the most in-depth analysis, by the way.
No, listen, kudos to the Colts to make themselves into a playoff team. I thought this game coming out of it was a little more about the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, his decision to punt rather than let Chris Boswell try, a 55-yarder. I mean, kind of sent a message to a team. I don't believe in you. Also, 8 penalties for 100 yards for the Steelers.
Also,
that's just bad football.
Mr. Talking Big Game George Pickens got the ball picked out of his hands. The Steelers are a total disaster. I can't believe Kenny Pickett injury made. They were 7-4 when Kenny Pickett got hurt. They would probably be winning these games.
Let's head to Detroit, where it was 5 TD passes from Jared Goff that sealed the win for the Lions. They blow out the Broncos 42-17.
They clinch, right? Or they clinch tonight, I think, if Seattle loses or ties against the Eagles tonight. But kudos to Jared Goff in this offense. They got themselves back on track after the 8 turnovers in the last 4 games. Explodes for the 5 touchdowns, 6 for 6 in the red zone. I mean, Detroit was averaging 7 yards per play. Just thorough domination.
Yeah, I thought Russell Wilson actually played okay in this game. Believe it or not, I know he got yelled at by Sean Payton. Russell Wilson, 18 for 32, 1 touchdown. The problems are on defense. Russell Wilson's putting together a crazy good statistical year. I don't know what it means. He has 24 touchdowns and 8 picks. He's a Pro Bowler. I mean, he's going to be in the Pro Bowl.
Sean Payton still hates him, so.
Yeah, he definitely will be.
What do you get? 2? Don't you get 2 quarterbacks
from
each
then
conference?
Like 5 more.
Okay, but that's a replacement.
But even so, look at the AFC. All the quarterbacks are hurt.
We're on to Sunday, and now we got Cleveland versus Chicago. Cleveland with a late comeback, 13 points in the fourth quarter to win 20-17.
Yeah, full credit to Chicago. To lose this game and make sure you get a better receiver in the first round took an amazing skill because Joe Flacco was throwing it the wrong way half the game. Maggie and I fundamentally disagree. I thought this was an incredibly ugly game. I love watching rejuvenated Joe Flacco, but to me, the Browns are just sort of, I don't know what they're doing, playing out some weird string here because it's not going anywhere.
How the Cleveland Browns are down to 1 healthy offensive lineman with statuesque Joe Flacco back there, and Flacco throws 3 interceptions, including a pick 6, and they still win the game. How? It's crazy. And they're in the playoffs.
Because it's Chicago.
Well, they were 1 dropped Hail Mary away from losing the game.
It was a Baker Mayfield masterclass in Lambeau. The Buccaneers beating the Packers 34-20. Baker with 4 TD passes, 381 yards on the day.
How about that? 4 different targets as well. And Tampa Bay owns the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Saints. So this could be your 4th seed in the NFC. You love the Chris Godwin, 155 receiving yards. And listen, this Packers defense, can we have a conversation about them and how bad they are? I mean, there's no excuse for them to be this bad.
How bad they've been. I mean, how many first-round picks are you going to put into that defense that gets so little results, especially in crunch time? Hey, I think Jordan Love had another nice game. It's not perfect by any means, but I don't think there's any discussion anymore about whether he's the quarterback next year.
He is, but if the game was only a quarter and a half, he'd be awesome.
He gave you plenty to win that game yesterday. If you can't stop Tampa Bay in Lambeau, I mean, come on.
Perloff's bestie, Case Keenum, putting on that Houston uniform and looking like the college days as the Texans beat the Titans 19-16. Case Keenum threw for 229 yards in this one.
Well, also,
which year for Case? He was in college for 7 years.
Case started his career as a Houston Texans backup and was actually pretty good there. They lost every game, but Case had about 300 yards a game. The problem, the Texans were really thin, had tons and tons of penalties. The Titans have no excuse for not winning this game. Talk about a blown game.
Yep.
And you could see it on the Titans' faces afterwards. They walked out there being like, how did we just lose this game?
Everyone was down for the Houston. The 2 wide receivers were down. No Will Anderson in this game. And I guess Will Levis is the quarterback of the future. I guess. He's got a big arm. He, it needs a lot more refining. But I guess he is the quarterback of the future.
I think it's a Justin Fields situation. I think, yes.
They trade for Fields?
No, I just think Will Levis is the quarterback of the future, but they're still evaluating.
The Jets are shut out in Miami. Dolphins win 30-0. Zach Wilson knocked out of this game, which was first deemed wrist, then dehydration, then head, then concussion.
Who? It's a lot.
Jets.
No Tyreek Hill, no problem. Jalen Waddle, 142 yards, a touchdown. My big takeaway from this is, first of all, Miami, they can win the division. They have a 2-game lead if they win the next 2 games, and then they can clinch the number 1 seed, and home field advantage is still on the table for them, so a lot to play for. And the other side is Rodgers' facial expressions during this game were priceless. Not happy.
Yeah, I've never seen a team that we know less about than the Miami Dolphins at this point in the season. Let me read to you their last 6 wins. The terrible Jets, the terrible Commanders, the terrible Jets again, the Raiders, and the Patriots, and the Panthers, and the Giants. They can beat bad teams, but we have any idea, can they beat a good team, Maggie?
We'll find out next week when they play the Dallas Cowboys.
That will be a monster game on Sunday. So let's get to, I lost my track here. Oh, sorry. Patriots, Chiefs win 27-17. Perloff, pay off that bet. Darius Toney caught those 2 balls. I'm not wearing a Patriots jersey this week.
Okay. The receiving core is, once again, cost Patrick Mahomes, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire touchdown was one of my favorite plays of the year. 5'7" Clyde Edwards-Helaire jumping up about 3 feet in the air to pull down an amazing catch. Yeah, once again, the Chiefs look ugly. I mean, they got the win, but this might not have been in the... I thought they were going to roll through the last 4 games, and this made me nervous for the Chiefs fans.
Wide receiver still a problem. Rashee Rice gets a touchdown, but has a costly penalty. Sky Moore was bailed out by a penalty, and Kadarius Toney... had the drop that led to a New England score.
And Noah Gray also kind of lost a jump ball.
It's a rough day for the other New York team as well. The Saints beating the Giants 24-6. Tommy DeVito under massive pressure most of this day.
Yeah, as I said, Tommy DeVito sautéed by that New Orleans Saints defensive line. 7 sacks. Definitely looked like he got concussed at one point. They checked him out. They let him go back into the game. And how about Tano Passanio was... the pass rusher for New Orleans, Perloff, doing the passing Paisan hand gesture right after, and you would appreciate this. He's from Philly, so he said he's grown up with a lot of Italian people, so he felt like he could do that.
One thing about the Saints, Alvin Kamara is back.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone noticed that, but they are back to having Alvin Kamara be their best player, which makes him all of a sudden a factor again, despite Derek Carr being the Bermuda Triangle of quarterbacks, as we like to say around here.
Let Bryce cook. 9 points was enough for the Carolina Panthers, who beat the Falcons 9-7. It was a late second field goal after a Bryce Young-led drive by the Panthers that won it.
Yeah, I tuned into this at 1 o'clock and said, why are they playing a night game right now at 1 o'clock. What's going on there? What a bizarre visual was. Talking about rain. The rain came down and then it got harder. They expected to let down and it did not. That was terrible. The Falcons really have to be upset because they had a line to win the NFC South. Now they blow it. I'm very curious, can the Panthers win another game and not give the number 1 pick to the Bears?
I'm curious. Is Arthur Smith really going to be the coach of this team next year? I mean, it was bad. I mean, the Carolina Panthers stink. Ritter had the bad interception. Bijan had the bad fumble. I mean, I know the weather was a factor, but yikes.
It was 152 yards from Kyren Williams and 2 touchdown passes from Matthew Stafford that led the Rams to a 28-20 victory at home over the Washington Commanders.
Man, I love it. We were talking about the team that you really do not want to face. Cooper Kupp, back-to-back 100-yard receiving games. And Kyren Williams, again, the 2 fumbles in the first half, but still puts together a good game. The Rams are 7-7, but it feels like they have a much better record than that.
Don't want to see those Rams. Don't want to see Matthew Stafford in the playoffs. He is fire right now. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp is good at 1-2. Maybe not the best 1-2, but they're certainly top 3 or 4.
How about Washington? How many major changes could be coming to this franchise? It looks like Ron Rivera is probably going to be out. Sam Howell yesterday was replaced by Jacoby Brissett. I mean, what isn't going to change in Washington?
Yeah, things looking ugly in Washington. So the San Francisco 49ers put up 45 points in their win over the Cardinals, 45-29. We had 3 more TDs for CMC.
So I'm an Eagles fan, as I keep saying, and I wanted the Niners to lose. And I got to tell you, this game gave me hope for a while. I don't know if you guys saw it towards the end of the first half. The Niners kickoff returner or punt returner caught the ball and then is very controversial. So he caused his own fumble on the ground, but it wasn't clear if he got touched. Would have made it 21-20, but they reversed it, and it wasn't totally clear what was happening. They easily could have given a touchdown and made it a close game, but the Cardinals didn't have it. Incredible angry toddler runs by Kyler Murray. He's done, by the way, Maggie.
Yeah, with no Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead, they weren't as robust against the run. James Conner with the 86 yards, but we'll see when those 2 guys are back.
It was a dominant performance from the Buffalo Bills, who pretty much won from the get-go against the Dallas Cowboys. They win 31-10. James Cook, 179 yards rushing and a TD.
Here we go!
This is the game that Bills fans like myself have been waiting for a long time. Bad weather, you commit to the run. Dallas couldn't stop it, and honestly didn't look like they wanted to stop it, Perloff, but they still clinched a playoff berth anyway.
This is a game you're waiting for, not something in the playoffs?
No, how it looked.
I hear you.
The commitment to the run in a bad game.
Yeah, you have been saying they should run the ball.
Bad weather.
Here's my question. Could they repeat this against, let's say, Baltimore in the playoffs?
I have more belief now than I did a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I'm into this Bills team. I think they're right up there in the AFC. Could even make a run. This could be the year, Maggie.
And then you had the Sunday Nighter. It was the Ravens beating the Jaguars on the road, 23-7. Lamar Jackson improving that MVP case.
Was he? 171 yards passing, 12 carries, 97 yards, threw a bad pick. It wasn't my favorite. Ran for
97 yards.
What's that?
Ran for 97
yards.
Yeah,
ran for 97. It was not my favorite Lamar Jackson game. I felt like Lamar actually game managed this. I know that sounds weird because he was holding the ball, but I felt like Lamar was like, okay, he made that pick. Then he sort of said, our defense is amazing. That defense is great. I think Lamar is actually holding something back and playing somewhat conservatively. I know the runs don't belie that, but he's game managing because that defense is winning games.
Honestly, Jacksonville should be kicking themselves this morning. They left so many points on the field, missed field goal attempts, fumbles. I mean, in every way you can lose a football game, they lost it yesterday.
Yeah, but you could see that Ravens front gets after
I get it.
I mean, and they also destroy the run. Like they don't just stop the run; they'll have like 4-yard losses consistently. The Ravens are really impressive. Lamar, one thing, he did take a ton of hits yesterday, just an absolute ton. You heard Collinsworth say they wanted to save Lamar because they know the injury narrative. The last 2 years, he's been hurt in the final quarter of the season. So what's he do? He runs 12 times, gets sacked 3 times, is staying in the pocket and getting drilled all over the place. Is it going to be the same thing? Is he going to get hurt, Maggie?
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, we begin our top 5 countdown of the greatest moments of the Maggie and Perloff Show in the year 2023. Number 5 comes your way next. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. On the topic of show bets that we're about to get into, just want to make it clear I'm not paying off the one from this weekend. I refuse to acknowledge that Kadarius Toney had over 1.5 catches, as was our show bet. The dude had 2 catches for 5 yards and cost an interception.
Okay.
Causing the interception takes away one of the catches.
First of all, you are absolutely buying breakfast, because if we're talking about the spirit of the bet, he got targeted 4 times. That's the bet. He should actually caught 3 of them. He only caught 2.
Let me ask you this.
The spirit of the bet
should
is
should the Chiefs be targeting
Well, that's a
Kadarius
different
Toney?
story. They are not giving up on him, and that's where you and I disagreed. You thought they should just totally turn their back. I thought they're going to make a point to throw it to him.
So their point ended up with 5 yards of receiving?
Well,
You didn't say they'd be successful. You said they would do it.
I don't know what Tony's going to do from
Fine,
there.
I'll buy breakfast.
There you go. It's got to happen because, again, I'm not wearing a Patriots jersey.
Well,
that is not happening again.
So the last time I tried to wiggle out of a bet, and Spike, our boss, got so mad at us that he made everybody participate in the bet. How would he do that? If he got mad that Perloff was going to wiggle out of paying for breakfast, we all would have to buy breakfast?
I think Spike would actually side with me on this one. For some reason.
No. He said if this
Spike's
ever
a big
happens
picture
again.
guy. He's a big picture guy.
He was actually going to probably make EJ buy breakfast for the whole
You actually
radio
bet
station.
against your own team. I think that's what made everybody mad.
Well, I just wanted to use the spread. That's all I wanted.
Right.
You wanted to be happy with the fact that the Bills lost, but they lost only by 3.
For that specific bet, yes. Meanwhile,
Pathetic.
it ended up being, me versus Bradley Cooper for a week and a half after that.
That was fun.
Yeah.
One of the only good things that came out of that.
Meanwhile, okay, so starting now at this time, every day this week, we're going to be counting down the top 5 moments, the best moments of the Maggie and Perloff Show from the year 2023. So let's do it. Is this like our award show music? Love it.
Do you realize somewhere out there there's somebody jamming on the keyboard right now to make this song?
I hope it's John
Or
Tesh.
it's probably on the computer, but I like to imagine that there's a band performing this number.
And one guy looks over at the other guy and just smiles at him like, cool beat.
I mean, you could even maybe incorporate a keytar here, a piano gutar.
Everyone's wearing the same suit. Piano key next
it's definitely a leather suit with a V down the middle, like Eddie Murphy Delirious.
Maybe they're all wearing bolas. Okay, top 5. Here is moment number 5, the best of Maggie and Perloff. For the record, if this does get back to Carson Wentz, he's got to know it was never personal. All right, Guido's Purple Drinkers, this is for you.
Yes. All right, give it a good kick here.
Okay.
I'm gonna need a few stitches for just hitting my head on a sharp light up there. Honestly, I'm in worse shape than the actual poster. What is this thing made of?
Now we can rip. Sort of. What is this stuff? I can't get the leverage.
We've been talking about destroying this thing for a month, and we can barely get it done. Ah!
All right. Whew. Do we think it's properly destroyed?
It's seen better days, that's for sure.
I was out of breath by the end of that.
The poster won.
The poster won.
We were outmanned by the poster.
So that was top 5 moment when we destroyed our Carson Wentz poster. It's Perloff's poster, really. We did it all for YouTube subscribers, and we donated to charity.
Yeah, it was wild. Everybody hated having that here, so I agreed to bring it down only on one condition, that we help somebody. Now, here's the ironic thing. We are gluing this bad boy back together.
No.
If the Rams play Carson Wentz.
Who's we?
Listen, what's going to happen. Can I paint the scenario for you? Matthew Stafford is one injury away. The dude almost got hurt about 7 times on Sunday. If he gets hurt and the Eagles and the Rams play in round 1, very likely 2 versus 7, Carson Wentz comes in for the Rams against the Eagles, that'll be an all-time game. And we're putting the poster back up. I'm sorry.
Wow. So that was when we destroyed the poster. Again, if you're new to the show, much like what we're doing now with our end of the year holiday push, we asked you to subscribe and then we gave to charity. So we're asking you to do that now. Hit subscribe, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. For every new subscriber we get until the end of the year, we donate $1 to the Boys and Girls Club. That's it. All you do is hit subscribe and you're done. And then we donate. You're welcome. We donate to the Boys and Girls Club. Perloff, myself, Spike Eskin has generously come in with us as well on this. And the reason we picked the Boys and Girls Club is because when we destroyed the Carson Wentz poster, we felt so like our karma was going to be off a little bit.
Yeah.
So we donated to all the Boys and Girls Clubs where Carson Wentz has played both college and professional football.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If the Rams they look really dangerous right now.
They do.
Carson Wentz gets in a playoff game and they win that. Does he get on another Sports Illustrated cover? Can I put that one here? If Carson Wentz Rams is on SI, it's coming here, Maggie.
Yeah, well, even if it's not on the cover of SI might say it was on the cover of SI because
because the AI, the AI that writes the SI stories.
I loved working at SI. I shouldn't have taken a shot at them there, but.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that was a fun time. There was so much passion into getting rid of that Carson Wentz poster that I can't tell you. You heard it there. The thing would just not go down.
No,
it was like Rocky. It was Rocky Balboa. It was taking a punch, and one time I hit it with something, and the thing bounced back and hit me in the head.
It really was hard. It's like on this poster board that's impossible. And so that was actually a point for Sports Illustrated. Whenever you get one of these like blown up covers, like for your man cave or something, they are really solid.
This thing
they don't go down.
Such an incredible journey too. Originally, it was sent to SI, then the Dan Patrick Show. Then Dan didn't want it, he gave it to me. I gave it to my parents. It sat in suburban Philly for 4 years. They're like, get this guy out of here. So I snuck him in here. And our buddy Zach Gell was so upset that every video he posted to Twitter had Carson Wentz staring at him that he almost destroyed it.
I don't think DA liked it either, to be honest.
Amazing the amount of CBS Sports Radio videos with Carson Wentz in there. And people are like, is that Carson Wentz?
Well, the worst part was that Jalen Hurts was taking the Eagles to the Super Bowl while this poster was behind you. It's like, come on. So, and Perloff and I went, we went old school on that poster. We went medieval.
He was so... I watched the video as I was putting this stuff together. The fear Perloff had holding those clippers. He was holding some kind of clips to hold the poster up. And you with the Louisville Slugger looking like Ken Griffey, but right-handed.
No, more like Robert De Niro in Untouchables.
Yeah. Oh, there's that
Maggie
too,
was going around the table.
We were going Office Space style. That's what Perloff did with the other side of the bat. That's my Louisville Slugger. That is a monogram to me. That is my personalized Louisville Slugger bat. And I was thrilled I could pull it out for a prank like this. So there you go. Moment number 5. Marco is here. He's got headlines. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Bucks went into Sunday sitting that 3-way tie in the division. Huge road game against the Packers. But before they took the field, we got this little exchange from Rex Ryan and Baker Mayfield on ESPN.
And tell that team to jump on your back and you go get the darn thing done. We need you, Baker. We need that today. We need it.
We'll be juiced up today, Rex. It's not that cold, so there won't be that many cold toes out there. We'll be all right.
So before the game, Baker goes after the foot fetish for Rex Ryan. Then he produced 381 in the air and 4 touchdowns, and they rolled Green Bay.
That was big time. We talked about this week having a complimentary game on offense, and I think our guys really took that to heart, and it was great. We came in with a mentality to be able to run the ball, but the passing game was there, and our guys stuck to it. A lot of guys involved. A lot of guys made a play here and there, and just everybody contributed.
Can I ask, the greater Rex Ryan contribution to this earth, is it let's go get a GD snack, or is it normalizing foot fetishes? Because he has done that. He's basically the enjoy responsibly of foot fetishes. It's like a PSA. He's like, I'm not saying I suck other toes. It's my wife's toes.
I'm going to say, as the resident fat man in the room, I'm going to go with the snack. I'm going to go with that one because I think that one's just a little bit funnier.
People are going to think you are not fat. This is theater of the mind. People are going to get the wrong impression. We can say it.
They know it. You know it. We know it. So everybody knows it. It's okay. It's all right.
Rex Ryan normalizing foot fetishes. Imagine if other people started doing this for other fetishes. It's like
it's a rabbit hole that I don't know if we want to go down.
All of a sudden, Dan Orlovsky's like, leather and lace. What's the big deal, everybody? No one else wants to participate here.
I was going to ask this question. I feel like now it's a little.
Sorry.
So now, Baker, are we buying the redemption tour with the Bucs?
Tour.
Well, I mean, the top of the division, tied with the Saints.
He's already back. Baker Mayfield is the 5-year quarterback of the Bucs. That dude is slinging it right now.
Okay, wait. But
wow.
You think Baker Mayfield basically saved his career in these last couple games?
Yes, I do, because I watched that game and he is really good. And the end of the Atlanta game. At the end of the Atlanta game.
Good. I don't know.
You knew
about
at the end of the Atlanta game he was going to win that game. Yes, I think Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but Atlanta's bad and the Packers defense is bad.
Yeah, I honestly, because the Bucs are playing themselves out of a first-round pick for a quarterback. What are they going to get, like a Kenny Pickett type at 21?
So right now they're 19th.
Yeah, I think you'd rather draft somebody else and just do one more year at Baker. The question is Todd Bowles.
I mean, but
so
if
one
you're
more
good
year
enough,
at Baker. So you don't think Baker's like the answer? You think he's the bridge to something else later?
I think he's trying out to be the answer. Yeah, I don't think if you look at
isn't this the tryout?
But and he's passing. So I think the problems with the Bucs, they got to get younger at a million different spots. I mean, what's the point of drafting a quarterback here at 19?
You also got to figure out to deal with Mike Evans. That's maybe priority number one because doesn't he have a contract coming up?
He's 100 though. How old is he now?
He's nasty though. Have you watched him?
Yeah, no. Listen. He's a Hall of Famer probably, but still, he's getting old. Anyway, they're old everywhere. They have the bones of that Super Bowl team from 2020, so they have a lot of needs. And I'm not sure a quarterback has won. Maybe I've been fooled by Baker before. By the way,
I was going to say, wasn't this only a couple weeks ago when he couldn't complete 50% of his passes?
He's been up and down. I mean, he's had those kind of games. He also had the game against C.J. Stroud where people remembered how great C.J. Stroud was, throwing for 5 touchdowns and 400-plus yards. Baker Mayfield also was lighting it up in that game, and the Buccaneers should have won. So he's had his moments, and at times they haven't necessarily come through for him. This was a moment where clearly he did enough for them to win.
You know, the one thing about Baker, and maybe just because the last 2 games have been on the road, like he's somebody who I definitely trust on the road. Don't you? Because he's got that big FU with him. Maybe I'm thinking even back to his college days, but
that part I agree. The trust and Baker in the same sentence, I struggle with.
Actually, I'm just gonna double check this here. 500 record on the road. Not awesome.
The attitude you got to love.
Yeah.
I mean, he's mentality me against the world. I get that. I just trust and Baker, I struggle with that.
Yeah,
but that's me.
fair.
Dolphins able to use a stunning loss to the Titans, wasting that 14-point lead, 2:40 left, helping them bounce back and dominate the Jets.
It was a punch to the gut last week, and you know I think that in a situation where it wasn't because of lack of effort or attention to detail.
I admit, I just need to play sound from Mike McDaniel. I love hearing him talk because it's going around in circles of nothingness. I love it.
Funny.
I was going to say, I think it was all attention to detail when they lost to the Titans. You lost when you were up 2 scores with 2 minutes left to go.
But it was an effort. He made that clear.
No, I think that was part of it also.
I like that they were so confident they were going to beat the Jets. They load managed Tyreek Hill. That is... They didn't even need Jalen Waddle. They could put anybody out there against the Jets and beating the defense alone.
Well, let's be fair. Once you're up 2, when they got 2 scores, the fumble, and they made it, then they got a 10-0. That's pretty much the game. I mean, the Jets are not going to come back from 10 points down. They just can't do it.
Not with Zach Wilson or Trevor Siemian. They both played yesterday. It's funny. Miami's like pretty banged up on offense. 30 points. Like you'd never, never know it.
But how much did the defense create out of that too? Because they were. But where are they banged up besides Tyreek Hill?
Offensive line still.
Oh, right. They have all those. Good point. They have all those replacements. I got to tell you, I saw a stat. Mostert has how many touchdowns this year? Raheem Mostert. I think he has 19 or 20.
Yeah, I think he has 20 now. I think he had 2 in that game, which is
talk
crazy.
about a late career resurgence.
That's what I'm saying. You guys think that Dallas is like, oh, that loss to the Buffalo Bills didn't mean anything. They're playing this game next week. This team, Mostert can run through Dallas just like James Cook did.
But Miami's done nothing against any good team. They've beaten the pretty much 6 out of the worst 8 teams in the league. Mm-hmm. They're a total mystery right now.
All right, well, the Rams finishing off Washington puts them now 7th seed in the NFC.
If the season ended right now, you're excited, but, man, there's a lot of football left, and there's a lot of teams that are in contention, and, hey, let's see what the hell we can do moving forward against a great challenge on Thursday.
Head coach Sean McVay, he's foreshadowing the game against the Saints on Thursday night. New Orleans is also 7-7. Rams currently, they hold the tiebreak. It's based on win percentage of conference games. We're not going to need all that nonsense because they'll play each other on Thursday night.
Okay.
And obviously the Saints, too, are right in the thick of it with the division with Bucks.
I know. And you had Derek Carr. I know he's tough to figure out, but he had his highest passer rating of the entire season yesterday.
I don't have any numbers.
Against the Giants.
I could be dead wrong, but they feel like a team that is not going to be great on the road either. The Saints were probably better at home. That's a tough team to figure out.
All those teams are Jekyll and Hyde. I gotta tell you,
Saints,
the Falcons too. Throw them in there.
You don't
lose to the
take any of them
Panthers.
seriously.
Right.
But predicting Saints-Rams feels like a particularly hard assignment. I mean, you really don't know what team's going to show up. Again, getting back to EJ's point, mid. The whole thing. It's just average. How many have we ever had this many 7, 8, and 6 teams ever?
Well, but that's the thing about the Rams. I think their record is misleading because they seem like a dangerous team. They've got a lot of stars. They've got a great coach, but yeah, they're 7-7. It just doesn't. They seem better than a 500 team.
Yeah. So the Saints are 7-7. The Rams are 7-7. Even Steven, it's the mediocre year of the NFL.
Which I feel like we say every year. Every year we get more and more into it's mediocre because that's what they want. Everything is at the bottom of all the playoff standings. Everything's always the same.
But there's just more quarterback backsides. Maggie pointed out earlier, we've never had this many good starters go down.
Well, I told you earlier, Steph Curry didn't hit a 3 for the first time since December 1st of 2018, snapping a streak of 268 games. The other night, Steph was asked about Keegan Murray. I don't know if you saw this. He was putting on a show for the Kings.
Keegan Murray started 12 of 13 from 3. You've hit
what?
Yeah, in the first 3 quarters. You've hit 13 in the game before. It's still going on.
They took him out early in the fourth. He got hit with it.
So they tried to get Steph's thoughts, but he just was way too distracted.
Is it still going on?
Well, just how
He's
difficult.
Still at, this is dope. He's still at 12?
I think so.
Pull it up, Anthony. Come on.
So they tried to get his thoughts on hitting 12 threes, and he was like, yeah, no, just put the game on. And he never finished it. Yeah, never finished it.
Does he have the all-time record? Or does Clay have the all-time record, and this was challenging it?
I think it was Clay, but he has hit, Steph's hit, I don't know, 14 or 15, something like that. I think, what's the record? 16 by Clay, I think it is. I should have looked it up. But Murray did finish 12 of 15 in this game, and he had 47 in their win over the Jazz.
Keegan Murray, wow.
Right.
That's exciting. I've been waiting for that guy to be a good player.
They've been having his name in trade rumors, and now he's lighting it up.
Yeah.
And then the next night, Curry hits nothing, and he loses his streak. So maybe you shouldn't keep asking these questions.
Steph Curry's basically, he's done pretending to do a normal interview. He's basically like, I like him and LeBron are just like old men up there. Be like, let's not pretend what we're doing here. I've done a million of these. Let's just talk, people.
I know. I feel bad, but there's something particularly painful about baseball and basketball press conferences that I feel like football is not the same. I don't know why.
I think it's just because they do so many. It's a long season.
It gets painful after a while. We're not even that far into the basketball season. It's not even Christmas yet.
I can picture LeBron after a game. If it's like a Monday night game, he's like, just getting up there. Does anyone have the Ravens box score?
I've got $20,000 on the
so tell me
Ravens
about your
second
defense.
half over.
You tell me about Marlon Humphrey's performance.
I was going to say, I mean, baseball is worse because it's twice a day. Managers honestly talk twice a day.
I know.
What? What are we talking about?
And then when there's a double header, I've seen some managers, they just skip the
You're
one
kidding
in the middle.
Yeah.
And a double header, they have to.
No, 3 times.
Yeah. They have to talk before, and then they have to talk about, post in both games.
Yep.
About what? There's not a whole lot.
I like this trend. Let's talk about other games. So, Steph, in a game that you're not watching right now, Giannis is going off on the Knicks. What do you think of that?
Well, I will throw that nugget in since you brought it up to mind. Giannis passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar most rebounds in Bucks history.
There we go. Marco, thank you so much. Perloff is off to jury duty, quote unquote. the perpetual lie that Perloff has been telling for some reason to get out of the show one segment early. I'm still with you. Marco's still with you.
I only have 3.5 more years of grand jury duty left, so I'll be out soon.
It's going to fly by. 855-2124-CBS, 855-212-4227. Don't move. We have the sound you must hear next. I'm not saying I suck other toes. It's my wife's toes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie, great. Andrew Perloff. Perloff has had to skedaddle to jury duty, allegedly. I think he's doing this just for the conversation. He likes making small talk about jury duty and then saying, but I can't say anything. They swore me to secrecy, but please ask me about being in jury duty. Marco Balletti's going to sit in for a few moments. Quickly, let's get to Paul. He's in Portland, Oregon. Paul, you want to talk about the Packers? What do you got?
Not the Packers, but the Lombardi and the Redskins.
Oh, okay.
Perloff always has the take that he was a horrible coach after he left the Packers, but he wasn't. The Redskins had a losing culture for 14 years, and he came in and changed everything. The team completely changed, and though he died in June after that season, George Allen came in, and he had a great success with the Redskins in the 70s. So he
maybe set the tone a little bit. You know, Paul,
he completely changed it.
And the reason, and thank you for bringing it up, but the reason why Perloff always mentions that is about Bill Belichick. And he and I do not agree on what Belichick could give to another franchise. I think a franchise like the Chargers would be lucky to get someone like Bill Belichick because they're a franchise that does need a culture setter. They do need a tone changer. I would say Mike Tomlin would also be someone like that. If these rumors of him really being on the hot seat are true, EJ liked Mike Tomlin to go to the Jets, be traded to the Jets. I could see the Chargers maybe being in on that as well. The problem is the difference here with the Jets. Like, if you're Belichick, I think you can bring Josh McDaniels. I know he's like bottom of the barrel right now because of what happened with Vegas. But Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator only is not the worst you can do for Justin Herbert. Meanwhile, for Tomlin, I have no idea who this guy would bring in as an offensive coordinator because I don't think Bruce Arians is coming out of retirement.
No, but I mean, it's also depending on where he goes. If he's the Jets, he has no choice. Nathaniel Hackett's his offense coordinator, and he's got to get married to Aaron Rodgers and that idea. So depends on where Tomlin would wind up. No, they're not going to come with an innovative offensive mind because if they had one, he wouldn't be leaving Pittsburgh.
That is true. Let's get to our shot of the day, shall we?
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. And my holiday season also brought to you by Casamigos, and I appreciate them so much for getting me through it. Today's shot of the day, little snapshot of the show, comes from co-host Andrew Perloff, who is trying to wiggle out of paying up on a bet.
You said that they would throw to him and he'd have more than 1.5 catches, which was the Vegas over-under. So technically, you won the bet.
Yes.
But in reality, in the spirit of the bet, you did not win the bet. He had 2 catches for 5 yards.
Wait a minute.
2 catches, and he had a drop.
A winner.
They threw the ball, a perfect pass, Mahomes, as usual, maybe a touch behind, that he bobbled straight into the hands of the defense, again, costing the team. So generally, understand, technically you won this bet, but in spirit, if they have not given up on Kadarius Toney yet, they will now. I mean, they cannot keep putting this guy out there.
No. So that was Perloff trying to wiggle out of our side bet. He didn't think they'd give Kadarius Toney any touches, the Chiefs, that is, after his debacle against the Bills lining up in the neutral zone. I said they'd make a point of giving Kadarius Toney touches. They went to him 4 targets. Marco, I mean, Perloff can't try to do this.
This is not even close. He can't be weaseling out of this. This is slam dunk.
He's got to pay up. Michael is in Las Vegas. Michael, how are you?
Hi, you two. I'm going to ramble real quick. Maggie, the Bills win the next 2 games, and they'll be in the playoffs.
We'll see.
As far as coaches go, Belichick, Tomlin, and I'm going to add Arthur Smith. You guys made me think about. They got no quarterback. Their quarterback sucks.
Yep.
It's not the coach; it's the quarterback.
Well, Michael, thank you for the call, and I'm sorry we're up against it, but it's good to hear from you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The music's playing. I'm sorry. Belichick doesn't have a quarterback, but Belichick is also responsible for drafting, so it's a little less forgivable. Thank you, DJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan. Thank you to Marco Balletti. Thank you to the Weedos and the coffee drinkers. Everyone, the callers, we'll see you next time.
You're in a 5-minute break.